Good evening and happy Friday once again. I don't know about you, but I'm going to say brutal week. I've been looking forward to tonight and Canarble Wagon rollout. You know, I had to go out for a little bit, and when I got home, Netter missed me. I said, don't worry, honey. Your aim is improving. Well, we got a show for you tonight. Along with my designated driver and sidekick, Aged Boomer, we have from across the pond in the kingdom of jolly old England, my good friend returning to the show, Matt of Bud Boy Productions. I'm having a pint in your honor today, Matt. I just hope we're still friends by the time I see the bottom of my glass. Nah, it's going to be a good show. I just hope I'm here to watch it. Oh my. So strap in. Here we go. All right, let me bring him in. Aged Boomer, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fine. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, what are you going to say?
I was going to ask, what you sipping on?
I got myself a Minute Maid fruit punch here in the can. I haven't seen those in a long time. I guess because of the wonderful supply side supply chain issues. But wow, well over like a year before. You know, you get Coke products in cans. We also get Minute Maid fruit punch in cans, but I haven't seen one of these in a long time. So,
well,
I'm gonna crack it open right now.
There you go.
I'm sure there's
sounds very refreshing.
Yes, 3% fruit juice. Hey,
ooh, that makes it healthy, right?
I guess so. Yeah,
I'll go with that. And of course, from across the pond, he's been up for I don't know, like 38 hours now. Our buddy Matt from Bud Boy Productions. How you doing, my friend?
How's it going? I'm all right. Thank you very much for having me back, man.
What are you sipping on?
I'm sipping on I'm like similar to Boomer actually. A can of Rio. This is a very English.
That looks lovely.
Like tropical.
Sounds like a Duran Duran song.
Yeah. It actually got like birds and everything. It's got like kind of like this whole. It has got like a bit of a Duran Duran feel about it. Like
yeah.
We don't have Rio in the United States.
It's really good. It's basically carbonated fruit juice. Like it's like a mix of like orange, guava, apricot, mango, and passion fruit.
And it's probably sweetened with real sugar.
Probably.
Yeah, but, you're gonna miss that when you come over here.
Oh no! Yeah, yikes!
Oh man, they've got like a high tax on sugar over here now. They've got the sugar tax now. Like it's crazy. Literally.
Well, we kind of do too, but that's because they're trying to boost using corn syrup. You know, because they want to. It all has to do with farming subsidies and corn production, and I don't even. That's boring stuff.
My advice to you, Matt, if you come over here and you want to get a Coke that has sugar in it, look for the Mexican Coke.
Right.
I have heard that before. Somebody else said that to me once. Yeah. So like, if you want
I'll tell you something else. It's not just the real sugar. It's also, it comes in glass bottles.
Yep.
Ooh, classy.
There is a difference between something served in glass and something served in plastic. You can taste it. This is why what was the beer? Was it Pabst Blue Ribbon or Budweiser? So, yeah. Something went to plastic bottles.
Oh yeah, Budweiser. I remember Budweiser because I quit drinking with my beautiful girlfriend. We both went on the sober street. But when I did drink, because Budweiser was always for me anyway.
Sure.
I preferred like craft beers. You know what I mean? Sure. Like really hoppy things. Like, you know what I mean? I like I like to be punched in the face by my beer. That's what it was like, you know. And I like stouts and stuff like that as well. Like, you know, flavor. I like flavor. Whereas Budweiser for me was just a bit meh. And then when they stuck it in plastic, I don't know. It seemed to taste even worse.
And I, as a novelty, Nanette and I got a 6-pack of it. And the first thing I noticed, it cost more. I'm like, it costs more to put it in plastic? That makes 0 sense.
Yeah, I thought glass production would have been more expensive.
One would think. So I don't know. I think because it requires retooling for them since everything else is glass. Right? I don't know. So we got it home. I tried it. It tasted a little funky. You know, kind of the same kind of difference that I noticed between a glass bottle of Coca-Cola and, you know, plastic bottle. I'd rather go with cans if I'm gonna, you know, if plastic is the only other option. But yeah, no, enjoy the beers that you enjoy, because you're going to have to relearn beers when you get over here. We have craft beers. We have a lot of great. Do you have a lot of IPAs over there?
Yeah, a lot of Indian Pale Ale. Yeah.
I'm getting tired of those. They're like the biggest thing, and I'm like,
Yeah, you guys get Brewdog, don't you? You had Brewdog?
I don't recognize that name, but
it's an IPA. I don't know. Because I know you guys get some of like the funky like. Craft
Is it Blue Dog? Blue Dog?
Brewdog.
No, I think we have something called Blue Dog over here, but I'm not positive. Hold on.
Might be the same company.
I don't know.
Kind of like the Lays and Walkers thing, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So, you're going to be here by the end of the year?
Well, I hope so. If this bloody travel ban gets lifted, because at the moment, Mr. Biden doesn't want British people in the country. Yeah, we're banned, man. Like Brits are banned. Like I'm not allowed to travel there at all. I mean, as much as me and Julie have been trying and like wanting, we had an opportunity at one point. It was like, oh, the ticket is how we can get in. Then it was like, I can't even travel. I can't even get a visa. Like I'm just not allowed. So it's until they lift the travel ban.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I and Paulie talked about this a little bit on Latino Slant. He was talking about how, the border is like wide open if you're coming in through Mexico, but if you're coming from Cuba, no, they don't want anyone from Cuba. And it's all and it's so transparent.
Ultimately, that does,
It's how are they going to vote is what it is. If you come from a socialist country, you're not going to vote for the socialists. But everyone else, you're fine. You can come in. That's not racist.
No. It's just that's the way. That's how crazy it is, though, dude. You know what I mean? Because I said this to Julie, man. Like, it's like if I want to come see Julie, right? Mm-hmm. If I go to Mexico and stayed in Mexico for 2 weeks, I can then travel from Mexico into the US. Fine, with no question.
Yeah.
That's how crazy
that tells you something, right? It's crazy. Well, I didn't want to go too far into the politics, but I do have a friend that got really upset. And, we've obviously been talking a lot about this whole Afghan thing. And he's like, man. Oh, yeah, you could bring refugees from Afghanistan. They don't have to be inoculated. They don't have to wear masks. So in other words, they have more freedom than people who are citizens in the United States.
Yeah, doesn't really make much sense, does it? Well,
it doesn't make sense if you're and this is something I've pointed out to Nanette and a lot of other people. It doesn't make sense if you're trying to rationalize it from a fairness point of view. That has nothing to do with it. When you start looking at the power grab, then it all starts to make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, that's it. It's all a game, man. It's all a game.
So, are we ever going to sing again, Matt? My Friday nights have been kind of open because of that.
Well, yeah, me and Paulie have actually talked about this because of what happened to his channel. His channel got taken down by bloody YouTube for a bit. So we were talking about it was like, oh crap, man, Karaoke Geeks, and Paulie was like, do you still want to do it? And I was just like, yeah, dude, I still want to do it. And he was like, right then, okay. It's like, well, we'll do it like 2 Fridays of every month.
Sure.
Rather than doing it every week, so everyone gets a bit of a break, you know what I mean, so we were going to do it on the third. Oh no, so on the second and the second and the third Friday.
I thought it was the first and third.
First and the third. That's right. Yeah. First and the third Friday of the month. Okay. And then obviously because his channel only just came back online, we didn't really have much prep time to be able to get it all set up and get everybody ready and everything like that. So
sure.
I think we're going to shoot for the end of the month thing, but I need to talk to Paulie about that just to make sure we definitely are on. But he went out to go and see a film tonight. I think Robert Meyer Burnett's film. I think was it.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
It looks like it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah. Look, it sounds it like. So, like I say, I'll drop him a message tomorrow, after my stream, and see what the DDO is.
Oh, yeah. And so my My business manager over here just reminded me I was supposed to ask you. Did you were you able to get to the post on Monday?
I haven't. I haven't. I've actually got it right here next to me. Like,
That's
it's literally
fair.
right here next to me. Like, if I can pick it up, I can't pick it up.
Just
God,
pick
this
one.
thing's
Pick
so
up one
heavy.
of them like you did last time.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't hurt yourself, man.
That's a workout, you know. It's like I totally miscalculated something.
Oh, do we owe you some more money?
It's fine. It's fine. I'm sorting it out. It's all good.
No, if we knew it was going to be costly, so if we owe you some more money, you just let me know.
Oh, we'll talk about it in the private rather than.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But yeah,
So-
it's like
so yeah.
16 kg. I was like, fuck.
So I just realized that unless you've come over here from Bud Boy Productions show last Saturday, you have no idea what we're talking about. So Matt has been kind enough because he's our friend from the UK. Netter really enjoys Kendall mint cake. These confections, very, very sweet with mint flavor. I've come to associate them with the holidays. But, oh, yeah, you have one left.
Yeah.
Here,
that's
this
the
is-
one.
this is-
Ooh.
Romney
Yeah.
Kendall mint
So
cake.
it's got the consistency of like a lump, like like sugar cube, but it's like obviously much, much larger. And very, 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 very
So
sweet.
dense.
They tend to be used or traditionally they're for like wintertime. You're doing a lot of hiking, chopping wood and stuff. Get yourself some quick energy. But Netter just likes them. Break up a piece, drop it. Yeah, there you go. Yep, same brand. We used to get them from the distributor out there, and then they stopped servicing the U.S. And we're like, crap, And we're like, we're willing to pay whatever the shipping is. Nope, they didn't want to put in the effort.
Well, so I picked these up for you from the actual Romney's company from their website, because it seemed it was the cheapest place to get them.
Yeah.
In the end, but the thing is that they don't seem to do international shipping for some reason. I don't know.
They must have just stopped it recently because, like I said, we were no problem, and then they said, nope, we don't do that anymore. We're like, we're willing to pay. Nope, we won't do it.
No.
I gotta
Oh no, she was getting them from a seller on eBay, but still,
good.
probably running into the same situation if they won't ship out of the U.S. or out of the
maybe
UK.
I don't know if it's something to do maybe with this. I don't know, Food Standards Agency or something.
I think at this point it might be getting down to all the stuff that's going on in the world right now. That's the only thing I can figure.
Yeah, the old situation.
The whole situation. Speaking of the situation, so I went to Nanette and I. When all of this started, we'd lost our jobs, so we were out of work for a while. We had gotten back to work, and we just got health care. So we went to the doctor, wellness, start talking about things like vaccines and stuff like that. Because this whole concept of one size fits all is just wrong-headed. You got to talk to your doctor. See what's best for you. But anyway, one of the things I was finding out is that this beer bug, apparently one of the things it does is it attacks the liver. And I said, that's horrible. That's just wrong. I was horrified. But anyway, yeah. So that's another reason to be concerned there. But
Well,
That's a
This is
mild
it.
rum and coke he's got there. I made it.
yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not really a stout. It's actually. But I did release the Kraken, so we'll see how that goes. But it does look like a stout, doesn't it?
it does.
It's
It looks
dark,
like it
yeah.
could be a stout. Like, yeah.
But
Or a
but it's also a
strong bitter.
diet root beer, so there was barely any head on it. So
Fair.
Diet root beer.
A&W, at your suggestion, by the way.
A&W
Agent
diet
Boomer.
root beer, no caffeine.
Exactly. That was another thing. The doctor was concerned about my blood pressure, and I kind of realized, I've been having a lot of caffeine. Maybe I need to cut back. So,
Yeah.
So I no longer get the hummingbird heart. So
you
that's
did-
probably alone
Yeah.
helping me.
So you made a action figure video today.
I did. I got an action figure because in my previous video I had promised. I had mentioned that I had some other action figures that I'd ordered from Tangori that were on their way over, and I said, and I'll show them to you when I get them. Well, I'm kind of committed by my word, right? So I had to do that video when they came the other day, and as long as I had my setup going, I filmed about two other videos before I'm like, yep, I got to get ready to go live. But so I've got a couple videos in the hopper ready to go over the next week or so. But just about it's probably about 7:00 our time here. I dropped that video. If you want to go and see what figures I just recently got, what I didn't realize until after the video was done. I had the two figures that I was getting second ones of from the previous video, and a Luke, Han, and Leia figure. All three of them together. I'm like, it's nice to see these three together again.
Yeah, the way it should be.
It was Luke Yavin, the Yavin award ceremony, so Star Wars.
Yeah.
Han Solo, Hoth, Parka, so Empire, and believe it or not, Princess Leia from the Mary Poppins one,
Oh.
whichever one that is, the Force Awakens.
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Was it Last Jedi?
Yeah, that's where she
the
flies.
Rian Johnson one.
Okay, maybe it was Last Jedi. Whatever. What do I know from sequel trilogy? I hate those things. But the reason I got it, and I say this in the video, not that I care about these figures, but I thought I could repaint her into an Akmina figure, the bartender from the holiday special, the B. Arthur figure.
No, custom. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I do a lot of customs.
I have a question. Is it possible that there was a mod action figure set released that you could take the head off of and put it on the...
Funny you say that. There was a Golden Girls action figure series from Reaction. Problem is, you know how those Reaction figures are. They only have them out for so long. And the value on the secondary market of those things skyrocketed. There is no way I can get a hold of a B. Arthur Golden Girls figure, not for the purpose of chopping up for a custom figure. It's not worth it.
Yeah, fetching a bit of a price now. Like,
At this point, it's almost better to wait for one of the craft guys that are doing resin figures, and reproductions and stuff to do a custom figure. In fact, I'll give you guys a little bit of a sneak preview of a video I'm planning to film over the weekend. So this figure here, this one here, I did a video on previously.
oh shit! No way. Holiday
This is a
special
custom.
barber?
Yep, this is a custom. Well, so
What?
come on, you saw this video.
No,
already.
I know. It's from the cartoon.
Yep. So the card back I made myself. That's my
awesome.
own. That's my own card back. The figure is from Pro Figures Customs.
Okay.
And that is basically a reproduction of the original, Boba Fett figure, right, from the
Yeah, the original
70s.
Kenner one.
But in the coloration style of the animated, segment from the holiday special. And see if you guys can see this. It has
rocket
firing
firing.
jackpack.
Yes.
What?
The legend.
And so another customizer from the UK, in fact, he does all kinds of custom stuff. And one of the things he did, I better take it out of the plastic, you won't be able to see it, is the sidearm.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's like kind of, well, these are like kind of cattle prod in the cartoon, didn't he? Like, but
Exactly. And it's, I mean, they recreated it and canonized it in The Mandalorian, but I needed it to be in this yellow. In fact, I was thinking about getting an additional Mandalorian figure just so I could have that to put with this figure. But then I said, nah, I'll wait. And sure enough, somebody put out this custom version of it. And I'm like, that's what I'm looking for.
That's pretty awesome, man.
I'll be doing a video about that
Is
the coming week.
Is there an action figure set for Mr. Belvedere, the sitcom from the...
Not that I've seen, but I'm telling you, those reaction figures, they're doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, stuff that you would not believe. Well, I mean, who would have thought they'd do an action figure line for the Golden Girls, right?
I mean, I love their Back to the Future ones, like, because they've just released, or not long ago, released the Back to the Future 2 series of them. So you got like Griff and stuff like that, like, you know what I mean? And like Biff from the alternate dimension, like, or the alternate 1985, like, not dimension, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
The alternate timeline. But yeah, like
Trump figure.
Some of the originals, like the original series ones, are fetching a pretty penny on eBay.
Yeah.
Because I've got this is like a 1/18 scale DeLorean, and those figures are like 3 3/4 inch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so they'd fit perfectly with that. With this is the Sunstar one. This is like, so it's like
that's brilliant.
Really nicely done one, like, but just to have, I don't know, just a Marty, just to stand there, like, with it, like, you know what I mean? That's
cool.
a beautiful display.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you follow the YouTuber Retro Blasting. He's big. Okay, so you know that one. He's done videos about the 3 3/4 inch action figures from the Battlestar Galactica and how they never had, like Star Wars, the ships in their scale. For whatever reason, they put the ships out in a tinier scale with little tiny figures, so they couldn't interact, which was
that was
a real
weird
problem.
Choice, that.
And apparently, some crafter out there that he was fired up about took those, did them in 3D and printed them in the scale for the 3 3/4 inch figures. It's actually pretty wild. So, I was not into Battlestar figures, with 2 exceptions. I got a Starbuck figure and was it Apollo? I can't remember if it was Apollo or Adama, because they had the cloth good capes.
Yeah.
So the blue one went on to Lando, and the brown one went on to Boba Fett, because the Boba Fett figure didn't come with the brown cape.
Oh yeah,
he actually had. Yeah. So I was kind of doing customizing when I was a kid, But
I have one actual Battlestar toy in my collection when I was a kid. Like, it was a hand-me-down from my older brother.
Oh yeah.
And it was one of the ships, one of the the hero starships of the fighters. I can't remember what they're called.
What was it called? Let's see, it was the Cylon Raider and the Colonial Viper.
That was it. Yeah. So it was one of those, but it wasn't it didn't have, you couldn't put a figure in. It was literally just a ship, and it fired a missile. Like, but I said, I didn't have the missile. I just had the ship. I always remember having it though. 'Cause it was
interestingly, that missile fire mechanism is exactly why Boba Fett didn't get the firing rocket, because some kid choked on it from a Battlestar Galactica, and they decided, Kenner decided, no, we won't do that.
Yeah, you'd like to think that people would, and kids would know better, but like today's news that I only saw something today about something to do with horse medicine again.
What?
I don't know.
Fucking stupid
if you
thing
look
that
up
kids
if you look up Joe Rogan, he's recovering from the beer bug, and people are giving him grief about some drug that he's using, and they're saying it's a horse medication. I have not looked into it, but I think what people tend to forget is that certain drugs, maybe they use them on animals, but in other countries sometimes these drugs are perfectly okay to use for people, but the U.S. has completely different rules. In fact, you look at these vaccines. I've been reading very promising things about a vaccine that's coming out of India, and I'm sitting here going, you better believe we'll never be able to get that drug here because we got to protect big pharma. Once those deals go through, that's what you got to take here in the U.S., whether it's the best for you or not. You know,
They got they got a right mix going on in the UK. It's like, I mean, I've already had my first one now, like, because otherwise, without it, I would not be able to travel anywhere.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean.
You mentioned that in your video, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like kind of like I have to have it done. As much as I'm not 100% sure, but I'm fine. So who cares? But yeah, I had the Pfizer one, but they've got the
Moderna, yeah, that's what I got.
And the AstraZeneca one as well that they're using. But like I don't know how they're selecting who has what though, because I got chosen to have Pfizer, but someone I know was chosen to have Moderna. But weird. I don't know how they're
all of that really, really concerns me because again, I think that they're different drugs and different people have different needs. Like when I went and talked to my doctor, I said, I'm concerned about, I think it's the Moderna and the Johnson & Johnson causing blood clots. I said, I have a clotting disease, so that is a big concern for me. So I am not even eligible to get anything until I talk to a hematologist. Yeah. That's the way it's supposed to work. You get advice from the doctors that clear you for, yes, this is what's best for they say it in all the commercials. Talk to your doctor and ask if this drug is for you, And just the idea that there's commercials for drugs makes no sense to me, but that's a whole separate argument. But yeah.
In Florida, you basically go see who's offering the vaccine, and then they say we're offering Moderna on these dates. We're offering, like, I guess Johnson & Johnson on this date.
So you do get to make a choice.
You get to make a choice of which one you get. Yeah, I don't know how they do it over in England, or we don't get that other one that begins with an A that you have. I don't think we get that one over. I don't think we get that one over here. Yeah,
that's the one that was developed here by the Oxford scientists. Like, gotcha. But there's been some uncertainty about that one. Like, I mean, I literally just got told by my doctor because I myself have like certain health things, like, where it's like I'm really concerned about having some random vaccine that I don't know what's going to do.
Right.
It could trigger, like, because I've got diagnosed a few years back with an autoimmune disease called Behçet's disease, which is quite a rare autoimmune disease, and it's basically your immune system does a 180 backflip and basically starts breaking your body down. So I kind of like. I haven't had any flare-ups since the one major one that happened, like, but so I was just like, yo, I don't know if I want to have this. I'm quite concerned, like, so I talked to the doctor about it, and then I just point blank said to them, until you can give me a definite answer as to whether or not this is going to have some possible adverse effect on me, I'm not going to do it. And it took a few weeks and stuff like that to get an answer, like, but I eventually got the answer, and they were like, yeah, no, you'll be fine with like the Pfizer thing, like, it's all good. So there we go. That was it. And then I just booked my two dates.
And this is what boggles my mind. All these people saying, believe the science, trust the science, blah, 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 blah. It's like, you don't even understand science, apparently, because there's people like yourself, there's people like me who have real medical concerns that need to be addressed. Okay, before we go injecting ourselves with anything, especially a drug that's been rushed to market, has not been approved yet, but basically it's experimental,
Pretty much. I do feel a little bit guinea piggy, but
well, I again, I don't know what the approval process is like in the UK, but here we got the Food and Drug Administration that is supposed to have very high standards for testing, and it usually takes years, and it sounds to me like they're bypassing all that. So I'm like, so in other words, you half-assed it, and I gotta trust it, and you're gonna mandate it? No, I don't think so. And then you got what's his name in Canada saying, Well, you have a right not to take it, but don't expect to be able to enter any public spaces. Welcome to fascism.
I was going to say, that's a bit of 1984 sort of like...
Yeah, and here in the U.S. we have the Americans with Disabilities Act, where you cannot discriminate against somebody because of a medical condition. So, Matt, you and I would absolutely fall under that. If we have not been vaccinated because there is still a concern because of our particular medical condition, I ought to be able to sue any employer that doesn't want to hire me, that wants to terminate me because of that.
Oh, yeah,
there's going to be some very interesting case law here in the United States coming out because of that.
Oh yeah, it's going to get messy. But I think next year is going to be the year where we're going to see any real sort of change going on. Like, you know what I mean? But because everyone was like, yeah, 2021, yes, it's going to be this year. It's like, nah.
Yeah, no. And I'm sitting here going, then you don't understand what's going on. You are not really paying attention. Yeah. Did you listen to Midnight's Edge today? Kamran Pasha?
I've been really busy with I went to see Shang-Chi, catch that, and then
that's right.
I've been doing animation, so I've been off YouTube, basically.
One very encouraging thing that I heard from Kamran Pasha, and you know how he is. He knows his stuff. He knows the industry, and he just says it like he sees it, and he tends to be pretty prophetic, in the things that he says. And one of the things that he commented on is it's very clear that Hollywood has realized they've backed the wrong horse in all of this. And all of these lockdowns and all of this kind of stuff is killing their business and destroying their industry. And so now they're realizing they use their influence to brainwash everybody. And now they've got to undo their own brainwashing.
Yeah.
And look, I think as propaganda goes, as any kind of lie goes, a little bit of truth makes it easier to believe the lie. And so there are things about, the falsehoods that people say that you go, well, that sounds right, because they'll say, trust the science, inoculation is a good thing, blah, 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 blah. Look, I've been inoculated for everything that I can be inoculated against for as long as I've been, able to, right? I got my flu shot every year. I got, all of that. You can't call me an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
My concerns about this are entirely legitimate, and that is science. Science is questioning. As soon as you're not allowed to question, it ceases to be science and it becomes propaganda.
Yeah.
Do
not question, you must listen. That's it.
Exactly. You're right. That whole 1984 thing where they're literally programming you to believe whatever they tell you and forget anything you ever knew before.
Nice rats in the system just running around.
Hey, Matt, may I ask who's your friend there?
This is Buddy.
Yep.
This is Buddy.
This is the Bud of Bud Boy Productions.
This is the reason why Bud Boy Productions is Bud Boy Productions. Sorry, just scratch your ear.
And like I said, I don't know if they charge you by the ounce. Don't let him gain too much weight, or it's going to cost more to get him over here.
But a little unit. He's a Irish Red Staffordshire Bull Terrier. That's the breed of him.
In the United States, we have special doggy treats. We have people crackers. Like there's animal crackers. These are like in the shape of the mailman, the fireman, the policeman. Yes.
Like the dog even notices or cares what it's shaped like.
It's meant for, I don't know.
It's funny for us, yeah.
We got some people in the chat. We got Wolf 10, we got Melissa Harris's Sons, and the Catman D.D. Myers.
Oh, hey guys, I'm sorry. I got so focused on Matt, I wasn't paying attention. That's why my co-pilot here is keeping an eye on things. Thanks so much. And of course, Netter's watching the communication too. But did you say what breed did you say? Irish?
He's an Irish Red Staffordshire Bull Terrier because he's the red staffies. That's like the Irish.
Well,
Red.
you better warn Buddy that the Irish are oftentimes very they're in trouble over here. They get They get a lot of hate over here.
Oh,
What?
He's more West Midlands from where I am. Like, he's Tolkien country, Staffordshire.
Anyways,
Just say he's from the UK and everyone will think he's awesome. Just don't say he's
like.
don't say he's what? I'm part Irish, pal.
In theory, so am I.
I am too.
So
To be fair, so we got 3 Irish in the
It's
in
fine.
the
But
more-
I'm part
but
English
more-
as well, so there's some conflict there.
More importantly, though, I'm an armchair historian, so
Armchair
I
historian,
really
okay.
do know how the Irish were really prejudiced. There was a lot of prejudice against the Irish coming over here, and that's where a lot of the
Italians.
Catholic thing came from. Too.
A lot of Italians too got there was prejudice against them coming over, right?
Which is why you'd think, why are there so many Irish Italians, right? But that's kind of part of it. You come together in this melting pot, and you got two European groups that have both been marginalized, so they kind of come together. So yeah, on my mother's side, I know this is going to get a little confusing because of my last name. On my mother's side, it's Italian. My dad's side, Irish. But my mother did keep very much more in touch with her Italian roots. My dad was just a redneck. He was,
Gotcha.
He was a Southerner who, he was a hillbilly is what he was. So all he knew is that he was Irish and he liked to drink, and that's all that was the only way he kept his Irish, heritage alive was through alcohol. And I'm like, it's not, Dad, no. But anyway.
Some stereotypes that just have to be lived up to, I guess. Like,
Oh, by the way, Troy, I watched another episode of Blake 7. I got to the episode where they got to the prison planet, and Brian Blessed was running. He is on every science fiction British series.
oh, you gotta love him.
I should not have been surprised he's showing up on Blake 7. Okay.
In a lot of ways, I think that first season was, I don't want to say it was the best, but some of the best episodes were those first few episodes. Yeah. Yeah, it gets pretty good from there. So they've gotten the Liberator already.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
I had the episode where they were testing it out, and they ended up on the planet, and the one computer guy was thinking, we can always just leave Blake down there.
That's Avon. Avon is, to me, Avon is the star of that show. Even though it's called Blake 7. Yeah, just a tiny minor spoiler. I think it's the end of the second season. Blake actually drops out of it, and Avon takes over. So
But I'm expecting Blake comes back at some point. Don't
that
tell me.
I don't want to
Don't tell
ruin
me.
for you.
I'll just keep watching. Don't
I do
spoil
not
it
want to
for me.
ruin that for you because that
Don't
is a
spoil it
big
for
one.
me.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, Matt. The big British show import that we got over here that everybody loved was the All Creatures Great and Small redo they made recently.
Ah.
And Annette just went, yes.
Everybody loved that over here. So in case you were wondering what British imports were like in these days, but yeah.
Well, Peter Davison,
No, this is
Doctor
the
Who.
new. No, this was the new one. They did a new one recently.
There was a new one?
Yes.
Is that apparently Downton Abbey?
I know. Nanette just looked at me like, huh?
It was on PBS this past year. Yes. Well, you have something to look forward to now. Okay.
Sorry, Boomer. I'm a real Boomer. I don't know this newfangled stuff.
Who started?
It still takes place in the old times, and the guy's helping out the animals, and there's the other guy's younger brother who's trying to become a vet, but he's doesn't have the book smarts so much, and it's
My favorite episode, or my favorite scene in an episode of All Creatures Great and Small. There was this cow who had a really bad gas problem, and she was in so much pain and so much discomfort. The older doctor is telling the younger doctor, you've got to relieve the pressure. She has no way to release the gas. And he goes, you mean, yeah, you have to. So he takes his scalpel, goes to cut into the cow, and all of a sudden, boom! And he's wearing brown and green.
Ew!
Yes!
I guess it was good he wasn't smoking a cigar at that moment.
Right? Exactly. Oh, and it's a poop joke is what it is. But the cow, obviously you'd think, oh my God, that's got to hurt cutting. No, she was in so much discomfort. She was thankful. But anyway, yeah, no, that kind of stood out to me. I'm like, wow. Because I always took it to be a fairly serious type of show. And I guess it was. It was a gag, but it was a serious gag,
That might have really happened, though. I should read the book. But Joshua V has a question mark green. Yeah, you also tuned in a little late to that conversation.
Wait, which one?
Joshua V has green with a question mark under his name. He must have just tuned in.
Yes, green and brown. Well, have you ever been to a farm, like a dairy farm, and seen the droppings from cows?
It's green, man. Green
It's
and
brown and green. Yep.
I've seen many a cow pass in my day. Lived in Yorkshire for a bit.
Oh, okay.
Yorkshire.
Yeah,
Yorkshire.
so you know rural areas, yeah.
Yeah, the Yorkshire Dales and stuff.
That's one thing you'll find out here too. Even though we're way spread out, it's you don't have to go very far out of the city to suddenly be in very, very rural areas.
Yeah. Well, Julie's actually going to be in your state tomorrow night, Illinois. She's doing the monster truck show.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she's heading out to that for it, like so. Yeah, I said to her, I was just like, oh yeah, heading over to Troy State, like fair. Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking she's coming up from what, St. Louis?
Yeah.
So she's. I was going to say she'd probably be going right by us on the expressway, but nah, she's probably going to be a little bit south of us if she's going into the city proper. Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whereabouts it is actually. She said.
Oh.
She did tell me. She just said, but as soon as she said Illinois, I was like, I know Illinois.
Yeah. Illinois is a big place. Well, yeah. If it's not in Chicago, then it could be anywhere in Illinois because they got monster truck.
It's a big monster truck show.
It's not my thing, so I have no idea. It could for all I know, it could be right here in like the Joliet area or. Anyway, but no, see, and that's something else too. When you get over here, you're going to have to come up to the Chicago area and take a look around.
Rosemont.
Where? Rosemont is close enough to the city that she might just come up from the south rather than coming through the west. But
Troy Wolf 10 Media says there were times I was afraid to step onto farms, much less a petting zoos because of manure. Yeah, well,
I'll tell you what, I used to go to the state fair all the time and stepped in my share of manure. And I'll be honest with you, the horses and the cows, not near as bad as the landmines that the canines leave. Canine droppings are.
Dog food's not the one.
No. I remember as a kid, in the wintertime, I was shoveling the front yard, and there was apparently a dog had gone right on the sidewalk, and I hit it with the shovel, and the cloud of smell just hit me. Because it's, good and wet under there, and it's, oh, gosh. Whereas I never really minded so much the horse and the cow, the vegetarian poopies, so to speak.
Horse poop as well is big. That's
yes.
Mountainous piles of shite.
They used to call them road apples.
Yeah.
So here's a little bit of historic trivia. Around the turn of the 20th century, there was a big concern about because the cities were getting more and more concentrated, more and more people. Actually, I heard it was really, really bad in London, older city. It was a little less bad in like New York and Chicago, but it was still pretty bad. And
London was a horrible place back in the old times,
and a lot of pollution. The biggest concern for pollution was not even the air pollution. It was all the horse shit. Yeah, exactly. And there were so many people that needed transportation that horses were not reproducing fast enough. So the concern for the new millennium or new century was, where are we going to get all the horses from? And then within a decade was the invention of the automobile. And so the concern about horse droppings and the concern about the supply of horses completely went away almost overnight.
They show that in the movie Seabiscuit.
Oh yeah?
They show how the horse was like the big thing, and then comes along the automobile, and then everyone wants the automobile. No more horses. And
so now everybody is up in arms.
What?
Pardon me?
Tobey Maguire in that one.
Yes.
It's a good movie.
Now everybody is so concerned about the air pollution from cars, and we got to switch to electric, and there's a lot of problems with electric cars. How are we going to manage it? And I'm like, you have no idea what kind of technological, thing can come about in the next 10 to 20 years that's going to overnight change
how fast
everything.
Things have progressed over the last century. It's kind of like insanely quick. Like, who knows what the next step is? Like, there's a lot of like. I think a lot of people are probably going to say like, AI is the next big thing. Like, but that's again has its limits. And it's like, and like we already have AI to a degree. Like, there is artificial intelligence. You can't really let it go free thinking completely. Like, because otherwise, as proven, it can go.
Well, and that's the other thing too. I think we found ourselves in a very interesting time where we have gotten so-called artificial intelligence to the point where it seems like it's really thinking, and it's really not. What's really gotten good is the voice recognition. It understands you. It understands you, and that's a direct outcropping of optical character recognition, the ability to scan a page and recognize the text. So once it was able to start doing that, then you could start teaching it, to understand voice. And it's the law of big numbers. When you have an internet that ties all these processing systems together, and you can, choose samples here and there. And every time, the Amazon Echo, you ask it something and you go, no, that's not right. It learns, or it itself doesn't, but Amazon back at the main, wherever Amazon is, the central computer learns these things, so
it's quite interesting how because I have my Alexa set to the word computer because I'm such a nerd. So it's like if I say like I don't know, you probably be able to hear, but if I say computer, cave light green.
Wow, nice.
So it's that's the fun things you can do with the Alexa, and I've got because it's one of these Wi-Fi enabled bulbs, it's like a computer cave light white. I don't know if it heard me then. Computer cave light white. There we go.
Oh, cool. That is so cool.
Remember on Star Trek The Next Generation when Picard would bark at the computer, say, Tea Earl Grey hot? Remember that?
Tea Earl Grey hot. Alexa, fire photon torpedoes.
Photon torpedoes armed. Firing.
Yep.
Nice.
The thing I used to like asking Alexa was, who's your favorite Avenger? And like she originally would say, oh, Black Panther. And I'm like, yeah, that's like the most obvious safe answer. And then she started saying Vision because he's a robot, but they changed it later on.
That's clever. Oh, that makes me wonder. Alexa, who is the strongest Avenger?
According to Superhero Database, the most powerful Avenger super character by total base stats is Thor at 552.
Okay, thank you.
Is who? I couldn't hear.
She said it was Thor. I thought she would say it was Hulk.
Okay.
Thor is a god after all, I guess. You know, that's it. So.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting because they obviously played that in the film for laughs. But Marvel is really good about putting stats to all of their characters. And what's interesting is Thor's stats are 200. I don't remember. She just said it. They're a level stat like most people have. You know, the Hulk's is very variable because the Hulk's strength goes up as he gets angry.
Yeah.
And in theory, there's no limit. So the question is, how strong is he at any given time? That's what really determines it. So,
Nice. That's a good point. That is a very good point.
so if you were to ask, say, an impartial Vision, for example, who is the strongest Avengers, he'll say, well, from a certain point of view, could be Thor or it could be Hulk, depending on when
From
you're
a
asking.
certain point of view.
From a certain point of view.
Anyway.
There is one YouTuber in the toy community that I just love because his accent is so spot on. His YouTube channel is only ONLY, only one Kenobi. Only one.
Okay.
And he says, welcome to only one Kenobi, only one. And it's like he sounds just like
Ian McGregor?
Ewan McGregor, yeah. Exactly.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Now,
I always wondered if the way he says that always made me think that Sir Alec Guinness, that iteration of the character, was a dirty old man. Hello there.
Well, it's like it's been so memed now that has as well. Like,
I'm just afraid that this Kenobi show is going to come up and he's going to go to Alderaan for something and he's going to see Leia and go, oh, hello there. No, yuck.
I mean,
wrong.
I haven't heard too much about the Kenobi series. Really. I mean, since like the set photos, like because they were filming it obviously in the UK, and I like saw the set photos, and then I didn't hear anything much more else about it, or maybe it's just flown under the radar for me. Like, but
yeah, it's interesting. Stephanie Janicek's been talking about this, and she's of the impression that we're going to be getting a lot less studio leaks now that there's less factioning going on, you know, and Favreau is very masterful about what needs to be kept quiet and what should be leaked for the purpose of generating the buzz. Yeah, I mean it's brilliant. I honestly believe that some of the stuff that gets out there, some of the stuff like the Doomcock gets and whatnot, I mean he's even speculated this too, that it's put out specifically because they want to get it out into the ether, you know, and see how fans react.
Know those YouTubers who have got the following, so like especially like someone like Doomcock, you know, and he's anonymous himself, like so it's. Why not get it through him? Like,
but he's also wise enough to know that sometimes when they put something out through him and it gets a lot of negative press, they don't go with that. So it turns out to not be true. And it's like, well, you know, I mean, it's the Cassandra principle, right? You make a prophecy that would absolutely 100% come true. But once you tell anyone, if they believe you, they'll change it. And then you're wrong. Right.
Did you see his video today?
I have not, again, because I was busy with, you know, filming my videos.
The one interesting thing he points out is that some of these Star Wars series are still Kathleen Kennedy projects. He was pointing out that, of course, the Acolyte is, but he also said, according to the rumor, he said it's a rumor, grain of salt and all that, but he said he thinks Andor falls under is in the Kennedy camp. Very
probably.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, again, well, how much have we heard about it? How much have they been hyping it?
Yeah.
They really haven't. You've heard a lot more about Kenobi than you have about Cassian Andor.
Yeah,
and secondly,
kind of fallen off radar a bit now. Like,
well, who cares about it? I mean, I think as many Star Wars fans care about Cassian Andor as Marvel fans care about Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's these obscure characters that, you know,
that Shang-Chi was quite good for just randomness with characters, I'll be honest, in certain parts, because there's some cameos in it, like, and they're just like most random ass cameos, and it's just like, okay,
that can be good, but that can also be a problem too, because it starts to feel like your only reason for existing is to plug the other movies.
That's pretty much that's how it felt. Shang-Chi did in parts, especially with because you see him in the trailer, like Wong from Doctor Strange is in it,
yeah,
like, and he is blatantly there just because the whole Doctor Strange multiverse of madness thing, and the new Spider-Man. Now we've seen the bloody trailer for that, like that's.
And how ham-fisted is that? Because one, you see that as an obvious, ploy because they want you to see that movie. Secondly, oh yeah, throw the Asian in the Asian movie. So now you got that element, working against you. It's very ham-fisted.
To me, like it was. I don't want to say Shang-Chi's a bad film because it's not bad. It's not like totally bad. It's better than Black Widow, that's for sure. But it's not a good film though either. I mean, Marvel trying to do like martial arts. The reason why Hong Kong martial arts films and Chinese martial art films are so good, like the fight scenes are so good, is because of the way the camera is used.
Yeah.
How the camera follows the fight and the action, and stuff.
Right.
You see the punches coming, and it follows the punches and everything else. Whereas Western martial arts fighting is all jack, and they that's the thing. It's all over the place. Shang-Chi is because you get some bits which is like, oh, that looked really, really good, but then it goes to the really Western style of thing where it's like you can't really focus on what's going on.
Yeah,
and then it just becomes a whole green screen fiasco. And it's just
yeah, I really do feel like the Marvel fans are really kind of going through what the Star Wars fans went through, with the sequel trilogy. It's like they're definitely killing what you love.
I still haven't watched Loki either. I still haven't got around to watching Loki. Either. It's like,
and keep in mind, I don't subscribe, so if I'm going to watch it, Disney's not making any money off of me. So, and it's not even worth the bandwidth to me. It's not even worth it for free to me. That's how little I care about.
Well, now you might as well just go on YouTube and watch somebody's reaction to it. You know what I mean? That's it.
I have, and I've watched. I watched Midnight's Edge and all that kind of stuff, but some of the other ones too. And it's like, what?
Oh, I'm just saying. Wolf 10 makes a point. Also, check out Anthony and Gruber, who should have been Han Solo. He played Harrison Ford in Age of Adeline. Isn't that who Stephanie Janicek said should have played him?
Yes.
Solo, yeah.
But and this is going back to one of your old concerns, Boomer. As we're getting into this age where they're starting to deep fake people, it's starting to matter less and less who actually plays them.
No.
Yeah, what did you guys make of the Alfred Molina's look from the Spider-Man trailer? Have you seen it, the Spider-Man trailer?
Yeah.
I did. It seemed kind of plasticky to me.
Didn't it? It seemed like a computer game character.
And the worst was, and this is where it always falls apart, his hair.
Yeah.
His hair looked like a plastic helmet almost,
He's wearing those sunglasses so you couldn't see his eyes, and I don't know.
Well, and that's
those goggles or whatever they were.
There are clever ways to blur the edges, so to speak. When what was the Terminator film?
Genesis?
No, it was before that, I think. It may have been the third
Salvation.
one.
Where Christian Bale fights young Arnie.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
That was impeccable because they
really
did
well.
it mostly in shadow.
Yeah.
So they kind of did the face, but they were able to cover over a multitude of sins with the shadow. Yeah, and then, of course, he loses his skin and becomes the, endoskeleton very quickly.
They didn't mess around getting to that either. They were like, right, that's it. You've got you can see it's Arnie. Now we're going to just melt it so you can see the robot. That's it.
Yep.
So there you go.
And I thought that was brilliant. That's you understand what your limitations are and you pivot into them. That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. Whereas Princess Leia, for example, in Rogue One, you're like, because she's very in the light, and it's like, no. Even what's his
mouth moves?
Yeah, that was terrible. But even Tarkin, they kept in the shadows a lot. I think that saved him a lot.
It just reminded me of something then.
But you know this. Now they got this guy Shamook, in there. Is that his name? Is that
what?
The guy who played Darth Vader and also in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
huh?
I know him. He's quite a really nice guy. Really nice guy.
But
and he got to be Darth Vader, so how awesome was that?
But yeah, I mean this guy that they just hired, who was the YouTuber that fixed Luke and Han and all the others. Basically, all he was doing is what every 3D guy is doing. He's just trying to show what he can do in the hopes of getting a job, and he succeeded because he did so much better than Disney did, and so it's very clear that's why they hired this guy, because that's what they're going to be doing going forward. You watch the Corridor Crew?
Yes, Corridor Crew are awesome.
Corridor Crew, they're
cool.
not perfect, but they're just farting around.
Perfect, you know what I mean?
Right, they're just farting around.
Janky,
And they've done a lot of the same things, and it's like it's possible to do if you have the right talent.
Yeah.
They don't. Disney hasn't until now. But now we're getting to the point where
with the trench run that they did. Corridor
yes,
Crew. Yeah.
And you saw the R-rated Star Wars?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh gosh, have you seen that one, Boomer?
No.
Oh,
The Corridor Crew, does CG effects over
artists.
Yeah, and they did one where they take different scenes from Star Wars and reimagine Star Wars as if it was R-rated. So like Darth Vader does the what's his line? He says, "I find your lack of faith disturbing." And the guy's like, "Oh," and his eyes start to ball out, and then his head explodes.
I hope part of that R rating isn't full frontal on Porkins. Okay. I'm just saying.
He couldn't get that flight suit closed, so it's
although he did play a really weird sort of messed up creep in the film. What's it called? Hardware.
Oh, I have that movie. I've been meaning to watch it. I got it with my.
The creepy dude who's like creeping on it. Like
I haven't watched it yet. I'm planning to. Yeah, I do have that one.
It's a classic. It's a really weird sci-fi and it kind of ripped off 2000 AD famously. And it was directed by the guy who went crazy and directed The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, same director. It's like the first major feature.
Actually, I think it was filming The Island of Dr. Moreau is what made him go crazy. Yeah. I've heard about what happened on that set. That was
the behind-the-scenes story is more famous than the film. I think.
It's brilliant. There's some YouTube videos out there about that. You should check that out.
Think there'll be a movie about the making of The Island of Dr. Moreau someday?
I think there actually is. A documentary about.
Oh, really?
It.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there is. So,
But the thing is that we're getting, especially now you're looking at what's going on with Indiana Jones and whatnot. This is happening, Boomer. I know you don't enjoy it, but the idea of capturing someone's image and being able to use CG to make them older, younger, or have another actor play that character at any age, it's happening.
Well, Boomer, sorry.
What's that?
No, sorry. Carry on. Like I was making a noise. And
No. I just and there's a good and there's a bad to it, right? Because on the good side, you have less concerns about, this actor died in the middle of filming. We need to finish it. So you get the guy's brother to come in and film the closing scene of Fast and Furious or whatever,
But I don't like this. I don't like the idea of Humphrey Bogart showing up in a modern movie because somebody put his skin on, and and it's.
I think it's less likely to happen, though, simply because why would they? It makes more sense if you're trying to continue a current franchise. I don't think we're going to get a sequel to Casablanca where we need to pull in Humphrey Bogart. It's just not.
Yeah, you never know with Hollywood. There'll be a limited Casablanca series.
Or the alternate ending of It's a Wonderful Life where they go and they string up Potter, or whatever.
Yeah, on Saturday Night Live, I remember that skit.
Right? I love that.
That was funny. I'm sorry. Hey, we found out it was Potter that stole the money. Let's get
You just made me think of something. Matt, did in the UK, did they play It's a Wonderful Life on the telly, like on an endless loop in the holidays when you were a kid?
I don't know if it was. I do remember it being on TV though, being shown on TV. I mean, that's where I first saw it. Was on. I think it was probably on the BBC or something. It was one Christmas time, like.
Interesting.
But yeah, I was very little when I saw it. Like, it's wonderful.
Yeah, there was a period in time where it fell into the public domain, so it was a very cost-effective film to play during the holidays. So there was like several channels here in the U.S. that would just pick it up and play it over and over and over again. You literally can go, "Oh, I missed it. Well, that's okay. It's starting in 5 minutes on this channel." You just go over to it, and I love that movie. I really could never get tired of that movie. So.
It's a Christmas classic.
It really is. Christmas and New Year, kind of.
I like Christmas Vacation.
Holiday Road.
Christmas Vacation that is one film I have to watch every Christmas. I have to see it.
Shitter's full.
I have a list of like Christmas movies I have to watch during the holiday season.
And now one that's become very, very dear to my heart is Krampus.
Yes, Krampus is one of them. Yeah, it's
Krampus was brilliant. I went to I usually only, this is obviously long before all of this stuff started. I only really went to the cinema when I really, really wanted to support a film, and that was one that I went to see in the theater because I really wanted Krampus to be great, and it was. It had that kind of Gremlins kind of feel to it.
I saw it in the theater too when it came out. I was on a movie kick for whatever that reason that fall, and I saw a lot of movies. I saw the Peanuts movie in the theater. I enjoyed that immensely. I saw The Martian, which was fine for what it was. Ridley Scott. Do you see The Martian, Troy?
I have not yet, but I have seen a lot.
Matt Damon stranded on Mars. Okay.
Yeah, no, I know the story. I have seen a lot of scientific analysis of that film because it's very, very scientifically accurate. Even to the point that they realized only after having filmed that one element of it was a little bit inaccurate, having to do with the soil content on Mars, and they didn't discover that until after filming had wrapped. We got information back from the rover about the content of the soil, and I guess it has some kind of a salt in it that would prevent him from being able to grow those potatoes.
So he would have died.
No.
Oh.
It's just if he had known about that, there is a way he could have treated it. He could have washed the soil, so to speak, and been able to do it. But it's a little detail they didn't know they would have needed to put in it to make it accurate. So no, everything that he did to survive probably could have happened. The other big inaccuracy, however, means that the whole story never would have happened in the first place. The whole big storm that happens that causes him to be lost out there can't happen on Mars because it doesn't have a thick enough atmosphere to get that much of a wind going.
Yeah.
Well, did you see Interstellar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because the Matt Damon character in that reminded me of like an evil version of his character from The Martian. If you think about it.
That's kind of funny. Yeah.
There's always a trouble whenever you have a movie and you have a leading man and then another leading man shows up, and it's like you can never have two leading men.
One of these guys is the bad guy, and you know it.
Usually it's Sean Bean, I've noticed. If Sean Bean's in a movie...
And then he ends up dead.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be the villain, unless he's by himself, then he'll be the hero,
But this is, I would argue, this is a perfectly viable reason to get away from always using big-name stars in films. The charismatic, good-looking guy you've never seen before in another movie who turns out to be the surprise baddie at the end. Well, you're shocked,
Well, Well, I think it's time for new stars to emerge. I mean, I think we've been kicking around the same ones for a while now. I'm not trying to be
And I've been
mean,
saying this for the longest time. Everyone wants to cast these superhero movies with, well, you know, who would be a good star that would fit that? And I'm like, well, now wait a minute. The classic films, you know, nobody knew who Christopher Reeve was when they cast him as Superman, you know, and what's his name? Michael Keaton. He wasn't an action hero, you know.
Tim Burton was kind of the guy that pulled him up, like, wasn't he? Like Beetlejuice, and then he did Batman after Beetlejuice, didn't he? That was it. So,
and look at Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher. They hadn't really done much of anything before that.
But
right?
to be fair, if we even think more recently, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, they hadn't been in a ton of stuff before they.
Excellent points. Absolutely. Yeah. So you don't go and get your big name star for their first. You find the ingenue, you know. Pay them a lot less because their salary is going to go up as these films continue.
Even with Robert Downey Jr., experienced actor, but he had fallen on hard times and then was trying to get his career back on track.
Yep.
So think about that. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right.
Started to come back onto the scene in the Scanner Darkly. It was the film that kind of started to return, and then he did Iron Man.
He was in Zodiac as well. Zodiac was in that before, and which Troy hasn't seen yet.
No, I have not.
You check out Zodiac.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Scanner Darkly is very good too. That's based on a Philip K. Dick novel, which is a very good novel.
The way it's done as well, like the way it's filmed, is really.
I love Philip K. Dick. Let me tell you,
Scanner Darkly's out there, man.
Some of those stories. Not even. I mean, it's hit and miss with the film adaptations of his books, but.
Scanner Darkly is pretty good because I had read the book before I saw the movie. It's more like an abridged version of the book, but the stuff that's there is pretty accurate to the book.
Yeah,
and it's done rotoscope style. Bud Boy's making a point. You know, Matt's making a point about how Richard Linklater figured out a way to do rotoscope animation very well with his movie Waking Life, and he used it again for Scanner Darkly, and it's really cool looking if you can check it out. Like they use real actors, but then they rotoscope the animation over them. Yeah.
Yeah, the one film of Philip K. Dick's that it's very different. The film is very different, but still a classic and really good in its own right, is Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's some major differences from Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. Some of which I think would have made the movie better, but others, I have to accept that film series on its own merits because it's really good in its own right. The only thing I wish they would have done is in the book, the Sean Young character, Rachel, right? Rachel is the same model as the replicant that was played by Daryl Hannah.
Okay, yeah.
And that makes it a very interesting situation where when Decker has to retire her, he's basically got to shoot the girl he's in love with, you know? I mean, it's it's not her, but
it's that mental battle.
Exactly. So how cool would that have been if either one of those actresses had just been playing a double role? You know, and I think it would have had to have been Sean Young actually. Because
are there any decent Blade Runner toys or models out there? Or are they all hit and miss? Because I haven't been able to find any.
I think again that kind of thing you're going to be looking more for like customs.
Yeah, Well, and the other thing too is what item other than action figures, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking. You know,
a Decker action figure maybe, but
they made some for 2049, but they only did Decker and K. They didn't do any of the other characters because I would have bought a K and a love figure.
That is killer for a toy line because you need at least a hero and a villain and support characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Retro Blasting did a great one about the history of Indiana Jones toys. You know, and how there was huge gaps in the villain line. And it's of course because of who the villains were, but you know, Army building, you got to do it. And it wasn't until years later they started putting some out. And I don't know. But yeah, no, absolutely right. But
someone think of the children. That's all you can say.
Wolf Ted's bringing up. Remember the return of the lady in 2049. Cool CGI. Oh, he's talking about Rachel. I think Sean Young's character.
Another perfect example of focusing on staying in the shadows, right?
Yeah.
And
I was kind of surprised by that when I saw that. Yeah.
Didn't talking of Corridor Crew, they do the CG VFX artist react series on one of their channels. And I swear they actually did do a bit on that scene from Blade Runner 2020.
I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, and they showed you how they did the face and stuff, because one of the guys on there has got a thing about like the pores and the crinkle of like skin and stuff, and how it reflects in light and stuff. And they did such a good job. And that's apparently they actually did like a test to convince the studios to do it. They basically overlaid their version over the original one, and then played them both, and then told them like spot the difference. And it was so spot on. They were like, okay, then we'll do it like so, and it worked. Really worked.
I didn't see that particular one, but I have heard them talk about this. The fact that skin is actually a little bit translucent. So the surface that you see, there's actually a reflection of the blood vessels and whatnot beneath the skin too. And you have to take in all of that into account. Exactly. So light shining through an ear or through a nose or through a hand. Exactly.
Right. Kind of like how they did that with Patrick Stewart in X-Men Wolverine. They went to that.
No, exactly. And you don't think about these things, but those details are important because your mind picks that up. And that uncanniness that we always talk about, the reason we say it that way is because we can't verbalize what it is that's off, but it's something. Your brain is picking it up. You just can't articulate what it is. And it takes someone like this, an artist really, to catch these details. I mean, when I took art in college, appreciation and, stuff, and you had to do the color wheels and all this kind of stuff, you start to realize, you look at, I don't know, Superman's costume, right? When you read a comic book, his blue suit is blue throughout. It's the same color blue. But when you look at it in, a film, if you were to try and paint that, there's like 57 different shades of blue because of shadowing and coloring and reflection and all kinds of things. You have to train your eye to be able to notice those differences when your conscious mind is telling you, oh, it's one, color of that piece of clothing. No, it's not, because this, wait a minute, this is kind of a grayish, but where the shadow is completely black, and so on and so forth. Yeah, the gradients. But
I've been doing a lot of that recently with this animation.
That's right. You do a lot of that kind of stuff. That's right.
I'm just having there's things you have to think about, because it's like otherwise you can make just things just look too flat. There's like. I mean, even with like a 2D drawing, like what I do is like 2D animation. So
cool.
It's interesting. It's interesting doing, color palettes, like you say, like getting like the shadow and stuff like that. But then doing skin again, like doing shadowing on skin, you're going through like probably about 5 different colors just in a.
Well, I'll tell you I got much better with my artwork in faces and coloring when I started learning about stage makeup. Because if you're going to blend, a base color or whatever, you got to realize that, and every artist will tell you something different. You take the makeup, you put it on the back of the hand, or you put it on the wrist, or whatever. It's not always that simple because this color and this color, very, very different. And even the colors on your face are all different, so you got to think a lot of that through. And your average, I guess it could be anyone. I was going to say woman, but anyone these days goes to get makeup. They get a foundation. They want to get the one color that is the best color. Yeah. But your makeup artists, are going to tell you, no, you're probably going to use at least 3 different base colors for different parts of your face, But if you're spot on, you're using about 5. So
that's it. It's like I say, the color palettes, and I've, especially in some of the makeup chairs, I've been in bloody dog. Sorry, I've been in it's you see, it's like you don't really realize how many shades of skin tone there are. Like, you know what I mean? Yep. It's like they've got like palettes that are like that. It's just skin tone.
There's a funny story that and if you go to a lot of conventions, you start to hear celebrities tell the same stories over and over and over again. Marina Sirtis used to tell this story all the time about how many hours it took her to get in her makeup. And Michael Dorn, who played the Klingon, used to take equally as long to get the forehead and all that kind of stuff. But as the seasons went on, they came up with shortcuts to make it take less and less and less time, to the point that he was able to get into his makeup in 2 hours. And it was still taking her 3.5 to 4 hours in her hair and makeup. She's like, so it took me longer to look beautiful than it took him to look like a Klingon. And I'm like, watch it there. Watch it there. He's a good looking Klingon. But
that is quite interesting, actually. That is, to be fair. I mean, some of the prosthetics work that I've done, like, so I do, like I say, I'm freelancer, I do all sorts of bits, like, and done stuff. But like some of the biggest prosthetics I've done, like some big neck pieces for like when the throat taken out and stuff.
Sure.
And like, it is a lengthy ass process. That is like, but then, I've also seen because I can't really do that kind of normal makeup. It's like if you give me a woman and say like, make her look beautiful, I'm going to make her look like a clown, probably, like, or something like that. You know what I mean? But like, if you want me to make it look like she's been in a car crash, I can do that.
You're right. It's a very different kind of skill. You're right.
Yeah. That's it. And it's like, and I've seen some of some of them doing it, and like the amount of layers that go into it, it is almost like a painting, like you say. It's like they're doing a portrait painting but on someone's face.
And I've done both, so I do kind of know. It's funny, from theater, and you learn to do your own makeup, you learn to do other people's makeup. I said from theater, I know more about applying women's makeup than any straight man should ever know. But that did help me, like I said, with my artwork. And then as I got into stage prosthetic makeup, it's helped me out a lot too. And I really understand doing the Klingon thing myself. I do get how over time you get faster and faster. And when it's the same person, same makeup job over and over and over again, it does, you do find shortcuts that you can take. It's the same forehead that goes on. I have the benefit of, I don't have to worry about the hair, so I don't have to work around that. And I'm pretty old school. So whereas these days most people use silicone appliances, I'm still using the foam rubber with the Cabo patch to blend the seams and stuff. And I've gotten pretty good at it, but I don't see myself progressing to better materials, because I go through headpieces too often. I used to, when I used to be able to go to conventions. And now,
I know, that's something I'm curious about how they're going to do that. Well, they've started doing some in the UK, but because I know a few people who have been to a couple of little ones, but none of the major ones have done anything yet. But because I used to love doing the conventions as well, and I do miss. That's one thing I have missed, is that kind of group of friends who you always see at the same conventions and things like that. Like,
I was really kind of losing interest in the big cons. You hear about San Diego Comic-Con and the Creation Star Trek conventions and all this kind of stuff. I really lost interest in them because, and at the risk of sounding like a hipster, they'd become so commercialized and so big big company,
No, it's
that
true.
they lost touch with what the fans enjoyed about going to conventions. So I found the best conventions, the ones I enjoyed the most, were the small local fan conventions where you can't really say it was a Star Wars convention or a Star Trek convention. It was just a general sci-fi fandom convention. And everybody went and they did their costumes, and you never had big companies there. You had local comic book stores and all that kind of stuff. And honestly,
Full vendors.
that was the best, you know? And I realized this the last time that Nanette and I went to Gen Con. You know, it used to be the D&D role-playing game convention, but it became everything, you know?
Cool.
Costuming for all kinds of stuff and all kinds of games. It just got huge. And I realized when I was there, we'd go through the dealer's room, which used to be the best part of Gen Con. And I realized everything that I found that I was interested in, I wasn't going to buy at that convention. I just take a picture of it or keep a note or something, and then I'd go find it on the internet for way cheaper, you know? The only value at this point to going to a dealer's room is if it's a local con and you're, going to finding a new comic book store. Hey, where are you from? Well, I'm from Joliet. Oh my gosh, that's just, 3 towns over. Okay, well, I'll have to come by you sometime, When I can't get what I'm looking for at my regular one that's in my town, I'll come over by you. And, and that's, if they don't make a sale at the convention, that's okay, because they might get a sale from you, the following month,
Mm-hmm.
So
You could get tribbles at Star Trek conventions.
you can get tribbles at tribbletoys.com.
What?
Yep.
There's
Look
a
it up.
dedicated website.
Tribbletoys.com.
They make noises?
They do. They have, well, the larger ones do. The larger this is funny. So I've bought a number of tribbles, right? I actually
want them?
Yeah, you want to get me one? You know where they're at. They are it's Tribble Toys in order to their special is every month they have a Tribble of the month. And if it's one that I'm interested in, I'll get it, because you get some little tchotchke with it as well. You get a little jar of Tribble food, or in one case I got a jar of Tribble poop.
Nice.
But yeah. And but what's interesting is they have little tiny let me take, is this one? Yeah. So this was one that I'd been really looking forward to. The Tribble of Borg.
Oh, nice.
It's an assimilated Tribble.
What?
Yeah. Did you miss that?
No
An
way.
assimilated
That
Tribble.
was nuts, man. That's cool.
Yep. And this is from Star Trek Online, the Holiday Tribble. It's a Peppermint Tribble.
Let me get the other one.
And also from Star Trek Online, no, I'm sorry, this is not Star Trek Online. This is the genetically modified Safe Tribble. This one will not reproduce.
Oh.
And the reason it's purple is because this version appeared first in the Star Trek animated series. And the reason it was purple was because the colorist on that cartoon was colorblind, and he thought he was making it brown. It's also the same reason that the Klingons' uniform vests are purple, because he thought he was doing it like a bronze brown.
No way.
So this is the yeah. So let me real quick. You gotta do a little surgery. You gotta make an incision and into them there. And there's a little switch. Of course there is, right here.
Oh, nice.
Okay, calm down. Okay, there we go. Now he's a little bit more relaxed.
What?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
You can't see it.
But this is what I found hysterical, was obviously I had to take it apart to see how it works. And there's this little doodah inside of it that vibrates.
Okay.
And I'm sitting here looking at this going, Wonder where this technology came from.
There's a market somewhere for that.
So yeah, got a bunch of these. Yeah, and I've just been doing a collection of them because can you get the vial? I dropped it between. Oh, you got it already. Because Star Trek Online has as online games do, you can collect these items in the game, and you can literally breed tribbles, and different foods cause them to breed the next generation and so forth. And
Some come in cages.
yeah, oh yeah, this is because I got to make sure I've got a predator to deal with my because you don't want them reproducing out of hand. My cannibal tribble. If you feed the tribble, you get cannibal tribbles.
That's a good Halloween sort of.
Otherwise, if you don't want all of your tribbles to become cannibal tribbles, you feed them tribble food. It's basically just strawberry nerds, but I just think it's so cool. And there's a root beer flavored one, which is tribble poop. You know.
That reminded me.
That's a good idea. I like.
Thank you, Netter.
The cannibal tribble reminded me of Critters.
Yes.
Critters.
Yes, absolutely. Before I saw that TribbleToys.com had that, I was thinking of I looked online and someone was doing Critters, props, and I was like, I'm not sure I want to dive that deep into it, but I was looking at them, and then I saw that, and I'm like, okay, yep, I gotta get the official, licensed Star Wars tribble.
Oh, so Matt, do you have any questions about America for us?
Yeah, anything that we need to, fill you in on? Anything your girlfriend hasn't, or wouldn't think to tell you because she's not a bloke?
Well, no, like I say, I'm looking for one of the things I am looking forward to in America is the cinema experience out there.
Oh,
the theater experience.
Do you think it would be different from the cinema experience in UK?
Yeah, I don't know why, because the way that it normally gets depicted in films, as I want to know if it is as crazy as that Hollywood make it out to be.
Well, we have, and we've actually talked about this on the Sunday show, the Geeky Geezers. We have a segment at the beginning called Good Old Days, and we were talking about cinemas and the metroplexes and all those kind of things, and I came to realize, because I had never really thought much about it before, we actually have had a wide variety of cinema experiences. When I was a kid growing up, there was this theater in LaGrange, LaGrange that I used to go to. That was a converted live theater. So it had the big, beautiful ceilings and the artwork and all that kind of stuff. And, it had the curtains and everything, and and it was a converted kind of thing. And years later, what I found to be really sad, and it was just the one screen because it was, a single theater, but then they broke it up into like two so that they could show multiple films. And so you couldn't see the ceiling anymore, and they put a dividing wall down the middle. And I was like, that's kind of sad, but it was still sort of mom and pop-ish,
Okay.
And of course the lobby was still all, you could see a lot of the old fixtures and whatnot. But then the other kinds of theaters that started to come in was in the shopping centers. You'd have at one end, you'd have the multiplexes. If you saw Stranger Things, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. But malls have kind of gone away too. Malls are not a big thing anymore either. So you have, you still have multiplexes, but they're not necessarily tied to a shopping center. They're tied to a shopping neighborhood, so to speak. I think that's the wrong word. A shopping district.
Okay.
But it's not within the same structure, like a mall would be. And so you have, 12 small, cinemas within, the complex. But then you go outside if you want to go to the restaurants or you want to go across the street to something else or whatever.
It depends where you're at too, because like the bigger cities will have more interesting theaters. Like they'll have like the independent cinema where you see some of the smaller films. I remember I went to a theater in Dallas once where they were playing both the Godzilla reissue and the movie Badass at the same time. So that was kind of neat. And then like you have like your chains like AMC, Regal, there are other chains too. The thing Regal does every so often is they'll play an older movie for a one night only event. So like I went there and saw Alien for one night only. There's also dinner theaters you can go to depending on the venue. Some of them are rather nice. Where you can get yourself like a little meal and like sit and watch the movie, and they'll either show an indie movie or a retro movie like I don't know, like 16 Candles or something, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Want to real quick say hi to Big Al from Big Al Presents. He's good people. He does some kind of similar to me. He does film reviews, but he oftentimes does the more obscure ones that are movies I never would have seen if he hadn't seen them and recommended them.
He reviewed the
not
Jolt.
recommended them.
He reviewed Jolt recently, right, with Kate Beckinsale.
Yes. Yeah, I'd never even heard of that.
It was on Amazon. It was like one of those Amazon exclusive movies.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But he does a rewatch with Netter every Saturday. They flip between their two channels. In fact, tomorrow night over on Netter's network, we are watching Anna and the Apocalypse.
Is that like a zombie thing? What's going on there?
It's a zombie musical.
What?
Okay.
It's pretty darn awesome. I have compared it to Shaun of the Dead. I have also compared it to the Buffy musical episode.
Oh yes, one of the most famous episodes of Buffy. I
love that. We actually have the soundtrack of that. When we're on long trips, we'll do a sing along with it. But yeah. So what was I going to say about? Was I going to say something about? Oh yeah, and in smaller towns. Like when we used to go down to Metropolis, Illinois for the Superman celebration. They call it Metropolis, but it's actually more like Smallville. It's a tiny little podunk town at the very little dingly-dangly of Illinois. They didn't even have a movie theater. You wanted to see Superman in Metropolis, you had to go across the river to Paducah, Kentucky to watch it. But they had a theater there that it was just beautiful on the outside. On the inside, it had fallen into disrepair, and the ceiling had come in. And a local guy, the guy who owns the Superman Museum and the Hollywood Museum there, the tourist attractions, he bought the place and is renovating it now. And he's gotten some help from the community, and he's gotten some help from Superman fans and people that go to the convention and whatnot, and from the Illinois Tourism Bureau, because they've decided it's a historical landmark. So he's doing historic renovation, so it will become a theater again, but it'll be very old fashioned. It'll be like 1930s, 1940s. And awesome. He'll use it for showing Superman or Superman, the Adventures of Superman or whatever during the Superman celebration, but during the year it'll be an ongoing business.
That's awesome. That is.
So
it's good. That is. I mean, because like you say, some of the big multiplex. I mean, because the one I use, Cineworld, in the UK.
Okay.
And that is like your big sort of multiplex cinema. Like, I mean, the one that we've got has got like 14 screens, or something like that.
Wow.
But it also has 4DX and like super screen and everything in there as well. Like, so it's like the whole shebang. Like, you know, it's got Starbucks inside, Baskin Robbins, all that crap. Like, you know, but then like in the city I live in, we have a little like small cinema called the Lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got some like memories of that place. I mean, I went to see like James Bond films there, like old like Pierce Brosnan James Bond films, and when they were at the Counter Cinema and stuff. But I know that they were struggling before the situation happened.
Yep.
And I think the situation might have totally killed them now. Like, which is a shame. Like, I need to look a bit further into it, but
it's really killed a lot of them.
It upsets me because I love like the whole cinema experience.
Yeah.
Like that for me, as well as watching like, you know, films and stuff. It's the experience of going out and being locked in that room in the dark with just the big screen, and then just that's your attention's there, like, you know what I mean. And if your attention's not there, the film's shit. But you know,
now, man, do you in the UK? Do you have did you have drive-ins, drive-in cinemas?
We do, but they're very rare. Like, and I think that a lot of the time there can be pop-ups as well. They tend to be pop-ups. They're not like situated like as a regular thing. Like, it's kind of like a novelty over here because British weather's crap. Like, so.
Well, and as I was starting to think about the question, I realized that just what led to the rise of drive-ins in the United States was very much lacking in the UK. UK is relatively speaking a tiny island compared to our space. And you can drive literally across the country in, I don't know, how many hours?
Well, for a good example, like my girlfriend, obviously she's just got this commercial gig in Texas, and she's from St. Louis.
Yep.
And they're flying her out there for the weekend to do the filming and then flying her back at the end of the weekend. Like, but that flight from St. Louis, a direct flight, no changing or stopping,
right?
A direct flight straight to Houston,
right?
Is like 2.5 hours.
I was going to say it had to be about 2 hours, 2.5.
Okay,
yeah.
And then for perspective, from Birmingham, the main international airport near me, in the centre of the UK, basically the centre of the UK, Birmingham Airport. For flight from Birmingham to where I used to live in Spain, like Alicante.
Yep.
Same amount of time.
Yeah. I was going to say Heathrow to Paris is probably almost 2 hours.
Yeah, so. It's like, I mean, us Brits forget like how small we are sometimes.
Exactly, like, but what I was leading up to is there's this whole culture that came up in the United States about driving long distances, cross country, the whole Route 66 thing, and you know, all that sort of thing. So the idea of drive-ins off the expressway was a part of that Americana. And I realized that there wasn't an analogous element to the automobile in the UK that likely would have led to that.
Yeah.
But what's sad about it is it's become a nostalgic thing because they have very much gone away over time. What's odd, though, is that they would have done very, very well over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Because of all of this, you know,
of all the time. Yeah.
There was a drive-in about a half hour south of where we're at that we used to go to all the time. We literally went opening night for every one of the Marvel films because when other theaters were sold out, there was no selling out a drive-in because you literally had to go drive and get in, you know, get your car in the queue, you know, and because you don't get to see the movie until sundown, you know, we were going at 6 p.m. for a 9 o'clock movie because we would just go and hang out and, you know, get some fresh air and eat, you know, you could stop and get fried chicken on the way there and bring it in with you and have your dinner. And then sure.
That's awesome.
And then when they opened up the concession stand, you can get your popcorn and candy and pretzels and whatnot. And you make a whole night of it, you know? So yeah. But they went out of business in 2018, I want to say. And it's like, if they just lasted a couple more years, I think this whole situation would have actually been good for them.
Yeah.
Problem was they didn't own the land that the drive-in was on, and the owner of the land wanted to turn it into something for the semi trucks for a turnaround or whatever. And it's like, really?
That's a shame, that is.
Yeah.
That's a shame to hear that it got shut down.
But yeah. So anyway, but I'll tell you what, you come out here, if I don't know what if there's any like good drive-ins near St. Louis, if you can find one, go check it out. It's a fun date night.
Yeah, like I say, when I'm coming out, I'm going to be out there for a couple of months. So me and Julie are going to try and do as much dating as possible, basically, to catch up on the year we've missed. I would imagine. But yeah, I think one of the things that I did say, I was like, if we can catch a movie, that'd be really cool. I originally was planning obviously around the November time, but I don't know about that now because Ghostbusters would have been awesome.
Yeah, you don't want to go to the drive-in in the wintertime.
Well, it's interesting. I was checking out some of the Regal events for October, and they have they're going to be showing Scream. They're going to be showing Evil Dead, the original.
Nice.
Wow.
They're going to be doing I think an Invisible Man and Wolfman double feature, the original ones. That might be kind of cool. I don't know.
Matt, if you've ever seen the movie Grease,
Yes.
you've seen a drive-in. That's basically, and that is timeless. I don't care if it was 1950 or 1988 or 2000. It looks exactly the same. Just different makes of cars. That's all it was.
So I always think like one drive-in in a film that always stands out in my mind. I always remember it is Twister.
Twister's a good one to see in the drive-in just for that one drive-in scene. Yeah. A Dig Outlaw, wanted to say hi. How you doing? Good to see you. Chatting with my buddy from across the pond, Matt from Bud Boy Productions. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. He does great movie reviews, and he's got great dad jokes.
Oh yeah, dad joke of the day, right? Yes,
that's it. Dad joke of the day is my most popular series at the moment.
And you're not even a dad.
No, this is it. And the thing, my favorite dad joke is probably the one where I even say, "I'm not a dad. I'm not a dad, but I tell dad jokes."
That's
faux pas.
That is awesome.
There you go.
Surprised you. Well, no, I guess your girlfriend might be watching, so we won't make the joke. Not a dad, as far as you know.
So I'm trying to think though. Like I said, we missed you on the Roadhouse rewatch. We were going to try to warn you about American bars. How you go into them and you say, "Hey, sorry, ma'am, could you not dance on the table?" And then the guy she's with pulls out a switchblade and says, "Come on!" And then Patrick Swayze has to knock the guy's head into the table.
Agent Boomer got so much mileage out of that because it does seem like it's very far off from reality. But I pointed out during that rewatch, I've been to a couple bars that were. Sometimes the people were not very pleasant, and it could get rowdy. But yeah, that Hollywood, everybody gets involved in the fight kind of thing. I don't ever see
that was like every other scene in this movie. And I have to say too, the one guy that basically ran the town, and if you didn't go his way, he would destroy your business by exploding your I guess what is it, your gas station, blowing it to Kingdom Come, and it's like, are you kidding?
It was a very unrealistic, but still very, very satisfying story.
It's fun, it's a fun film.
And what was the girl's name? Jessica Lynch, was that her?
Yeah, that's her name. Yeah.
Yeah,
she was the doctor.
The one with the boobies. Back when movies used to have boobies. There are not enough boobies in movies anymore.
And for the ladies, they got to see Patrick Swayze's bum. Remember?
Oh, they did. They actually got to see his bum more than we got to see the boobies.
Probably, yeah. Oh man, no.
We all know that Hollywood seems to have a problem with the female figure at the moment.
Please, yeah. we got into it with the whole Cowboy Bebop Faye Valentine thing on Sunday.
We're going to be talking about it again this Sunday, probably.
Yes, I'm not happy.
It's ridiculous. I loved what the guys on Midnight's Edge were saying about that. How ridiculous it is, because it's very clear that these women want to appear attractive, and yet they are, they act scandalized when you actually do look at them. It's
Oh, Adega Outlaws here. He said he has now subbed to you.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, you'll be, and make sure you hit the notification bell on his channel in particular, because he does a video like almost every morning with, the dad jokes or the useless information. They're very short. They're like a minute and a half. Totally worth it. And it'll make your day. Trust me.
Thank you, man. That's it. Just short, snappy, just something to make people laugh. That's it.
Laughing is good.
Yeah, best medicine.
Another thing that the doctor was telling me, because obviously one of the things you talk about is respiratory health at this point. She said, you know what is good for respiratory health? Singing. And I thought, hey, Friday night,
Bang on, yeah.
But she said, yeah, people that sing in a church choir, just really belt out those songs, that really, really helps your lung capacity. Do it. It's a good thing.
There we go. Good long exercises right there. I like it.
You know what I saw the other day? I was watching a YouTube video where, and you know how things come up in your feed. You've seen one thing, it leads you to another. So it's not a big surprise that I saw the U.S. Army Band playing the Mandalorian theme.
Oh, cool.
And it starts out with the big recorder and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the guy playing is wearing a black mask. And I thought he was blowing through the material. No. There's a flap in the mask for him to put the flute in to blow. And all the different musicians that had breath weapons. Thinking about my Wednesday night D&D game, that have woodwinds or flutes or whatever, have these flaps in the mask. I'm like, why are you even bothering to wear the mask then? That makes no flipping sense whatsoever.
It's the whole object of the...
Makes sense that the drummer is wearing it or the guy playing the violin or whatever, but... And then Nanette looks up and she's like, how does he blow through that material? And I explained it to her. She's like, that's stupid. I'm like, this is a stupid world we live in. We live in a clown world now.
The clown world. The clown world, indeed. Yeah. I think I commented on something on someone's tweet, I think it was the other week. And I just said, like, I'm starting to feel sick now. It's like a ride that just keeps on getting worse, and I just want to get off. And it's just like...
There was I don't know where it was. Was it in California? Somewhere here in the U.S. A whole bunch of schools had this big walkout. All the kids just walked out in protest of the mask mandates. And one of the kids made a very interesting point that I had not considered before. He said he's going into his third year and he has not been able to have a normal school year yet. So he's going to go all the way through high school, never having a normal high school experience.
Classes. Like, shit.
And I was kind of thinking about this a little bit back in 2020 when people were missing graduations, missing their proms, missing these once-in-a-lifetime things because of all this. And I'm like, people need to start rebelling. They really, really do.
Funerals. People couldn't attend.
People can't attend. Funerals do not exist for the dead person. Funerals exist for the mental health and well-being of the people that are grieving.
Right.
If you never get a chance to grieve that way, I mean, these things are important. And I'm sorry, however many deaths are caused by this virus are not balancing out the number of depression, suicides, other problems that people are having because of this.
Oh gosh, I mean, cabin fever is a very real thing. I think a lot of people have realized that over the last year. Like, it's, and especially the mental health thing. I mean, because I suffer with, I'm diagnosed with manic depression. Like, and it's like, so I'm kind of an advocate for mental health, like issues and stuff. Like, and it's and this is why I always end my videos with telling people to smile and be happy. I hope they are. Like, I really do genuinely like mean that when I say it. Like, I hope everybody, if you're not smiling and you're not happy, reach out. Try and get your smile back. Like, you deserve a smile for that. But yeah, and it's like, and the way that especially, I mean, I know bits about the American government, but like the way the UK government are doing it as well, I mean, we're kind of getting back to normal-ish now. Yeah. Because like the vaccination rollout, because we're such a small place, like with the vaccination rollout's been quite good. Yeah. And there's not too many like I don't want to do it people in this country either. So that group's kind of small. So we're kind of businesses are opening up a bit more happily now and stuff like that because they're thinking like everybody's been vaccinated and it's just this creating this safe mindset like sort of thing, like But like it's the I had a few friends like who were like, it was like I was getting really concerned about them because it's like the only place they had to turn to was Facebook, and it felt like they were doing it like a bit too late, and it's just like it's like.
And social media is not a good place to be social. It is toxic.
Yeah, I had to step away from it during the last year, like because my whole timeline was just like doom and gloom, and it was just like, oh my god. It's like if I look at that all day, I'm just gonna go mental.
Even though I have an ID on both Twitter and Facebook, my Facebook will be going away probably within the next year, simply because the only reason I'm there is to communicate with two groups of two what are they called? Like boutique stores for the toys. The one that I got the Boba Fett from, and another one that I've ordered some custom retro figures from. Mm-hmm. I need to make sure that I get what I paid for, and that's the communication method. And when I'm done, I'm off. I'm done with that. Twitter, it's the only way I can get in touch with Paulie and a couple other people is to send them a message through Twitter.
YouTubers seem to be that's the Twitter thing. That is like if you're part of the YouTube network stuff, you have to use Twitter.
You have to use Twitter.
I hated Twitter before, but then it was like once I realized it was like oh that's how I'm communicating with other YouTubers. I have to kind of reignite my Twitter.
And I'm fine doing direct messages. That's fine. I don't post on the wall. I don't read anything that goes up on the wall.
Share my videos. I don't really read the news feeds or anything like that because I don't engage really because I don't want to get just into Twitter fights. It's like it's pointless.
No, it's
pointless.
absolutely even on MeWe, where it's mostly people I know, friends, and generally conservative people. Every now and again, I'll say something on somebody's thread or something, and somebody likes what I say, and then they send me a friend request, and I'm like, okay, who are you? And then I look at their page, and I see like a bunch of anarchist stuff, and it's like, nope. Because, what happens is, there is, this Venn diagram in politics, right? Where liberals and conservatives and anarchists and socialists and stuff, there are things that do cross over that people agree about. So I may say something from the point of view of a conservative libertarian type of person that an anarchist might agree with. Mm-hmm. But I've talked to too many anarchists to not realize that these people are nuts. Sorry if any of y'all are anarchists, but this whole idea that, yes, they have a libertarian mindset of leave me alone. Government has no business being in my, let me.
Or business, like, yeah.
Yeah, and as far as, I'm obviously a police supporter. The blue line and the whole thing, but I also believe Second Amendment. I have the right to protect my own home. Mm-hmm. I had this conversation with, at the time, he was a very progressive, liberal-ish type of, and when I say liberal, I mean left-wing. Remember, U.S. and UK.
Yeah. It's
liberal means two completely different things. not classically liberal, but you know,
Yeah, I know,
SJW-ish. He said, I don't need to own a firearm. I'll just call the police if anything happens. I said, just remember, when seconds count, the police are minutes away. Mm-hmm. And then things started to happen. And he started to see, well, I'm in the suburbs. It's not like in the city. And then he hears about some crime that happened just the next town over and this and that.
Yeah, it'll slowly
he's like,
creep in.
Maybe I need to start thinking about this. And that led to this whole downward spiral for him of Troy's right. Troy is right. Everything Troy says is right. I would get emails from him. You were right again. And he'd send me a news article. And I'd read the news article and I'd go, I don't remember ever having this conversation with you, but okay. I probably was right, whatever I said or you perceive me to. But yeah, he's definitely gone from Democrat to Republican just by, you know, just the simply listening and paying attention. And, you know, I'm not a kook, you know, but, you know, you can't do that with some of these, like I said, this anarchist who was like, you know, we should do away with absolutely all government and all police. And I'm like, then you no longer have a society.
Yeah. That's a collapse.
You need some kind of government, you know, because, you know, yes, I may be able to protect my home, but I can't protect my borders.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. I mean, without governments and that sort of thing, it's like anybody can do anything, obviously, you know.
And what is my recourse then if you steal from me? What, am I supposed to shoot you? No. I want to be able to go to court and have some mediation to, you know, get my stuff.
Justice, like, you know, it's like that.
I mean, there is a purpose for government. It's just limited government, you know. Yeah. If I've said this many times, if I grew up in the UK, I probably would have been, you know, the Maggie Thatcher type of, you know.
Yeah, conservatives we call them over here. Yeah, it's conservative and Labour. That's the two main ones. You have the Democrat and Republican, don't you? Like,
and what about the Tories? Who are the Tories?
Tories are the Conservative Party.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
conservative is the description. Tory is the title.
Yes. Sorry, that's it. The Tory Party is the Conservatives, and the Labour Party would be the Democratic sort of more democratic party. Like, but then you have like the Liberal Democrat Party in themselves, like as a party. Yeah. But then you've got like the Green Party as well, and they're like more.
That's another thing. You guys have. I mean, whereas we have essentially a two-party system.
Well, it is over here basically, but
you have a very, very different situation though in your House of Parliament, where you have multiple parties and they all kind of have to work together. Yeah. Whereas we have two parties, and if they have the majority, they kind of run ramshackle over the other side.
No, it's a bit. I want to say it's a bit more. Open to other like, you know, opinions and things like that. Like, but a lot of the time it does just come down to the two main parties, like who they run shit. They're always it's always back and forth between Labour and Conservative. I mean, Conservative Party have had the UK for quite a while, but the problem with the Conservative Party we have at the moment, I mean, I don't want to get too political or anything, like, you know, I mean, it's like, but the problem with the Conservative Party we have at the moment is the leadership of it is an insane person, like literally unknown insane person. Like, he has been taking the piss out of him, like, you know what I mean? And he's not been doing too great, like, you know. Yeah. I mean, but
our
like,
problem
the other
with
side though, it's like if you had them running the show, it wouldn't be good either at the moment. Like, you know, it's just
yeah.
It's
I like to think of myself as more of a centralist sort of person.
There you go.
Most people are. I mean, if everyone is really honest, most people are. Yeah. The problem with our Republican Party over here is they're feckless. There is not enough spine to stand up for anything. So what good are they? I don't care what your platform is, because you basically stand for nothing, you know? I mean, there are some, a few, just not enough. And it's it's getting pretty challenging. But
Yeah. I think the politics, like UK and American, are kind of similar. Like, you know, say politically wise, like, you know, I think there's this whole situation is going to cause some big shake-ups eventually down the line. Like, you know, and I don't know. There's going to have to be some sort of shuffling.
Something's got to give. I mean, I just feel like this country is either going to completely devolve into a socialist country, which is the worst thing that could possibly happen to the world, really, when you consider the role of the U.S. in the world, or we're going to get our heads out of our collective asses and turn things around. But that's a very, very long ship with a very tiny little pin.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was reading something the other day about Europe's not happy at the moment, like as like with certain things. So it's like, oh man, it's all getting very messy. It's all very.
I gotta say, when I saw that Brexit thing happen, I was like, well, at least I know that some people in the UK still have some brains, you know.
Man. Yeah.
But this idea, but then over here we have our current administration wanting to bow to the UN with gun laws. I'm like, screw you, asshole.
It's like, that's one thing I'd like to say that is annoying about the UK is your right to defend yourself in the UK is not really existent.
Same in Australia. You don't have any rights to defend yourself at all.
That's what I mean. If
you just got to lay down and die if there's no police
into this
around.
house, they would regret it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I can't say that really, you know, like, you know, officially, you know.
I know what you're saying.
I could get into a lot of trouble if somebody broke into his house and I was to F them up, like, you know what I mean?
Well, I can see on the wall you've got two bows up there.
You know, that's why I have to. Like when I first moved into this place, I made sure I was like, I've got to put "Beware of the dog" sticker. I've got to make sure it's up there and stuff, like, because, but he's harmless, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, if he does decide, like, if someone comes in and he does decide to defend the place, they'll kill my dog before they do the criminal, which is the worst, the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, it's like criminals seem to have more rights, like, than, you know, the people do, and it doesn't help the fact that, you know, like, this whole defund the police idea that people have, like, I mean, it kind of almost bled over here into the UK, like, but we've already got, like, unfortunately a very low police force in the UK, because they cut police funding. They literally defunded the police, and it's not had good results, you know what I mean? Like,
same thing has happened here. All the states here that pulled that, the crime rate has gone through the roof, and everybody in those communities is going, no shit, Sherlock.
Exactly.
You know, let's play you know, like Sesame Street. Let's play a game. What happens next? Right? You're sitting on the pillar, and I pull the pillar out from under you. What happens next is you fall. Okay? You defund the police. What happens next? The criminals just overrun everything.
That's it. Because,
you know, so, and the local governments are dealing with that, and the states that didn't bow to that crap, Texas, Florida, so forth, they have a huge influx of people saying, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm going there.
There's a migration happening, like.
Yeah. I'll tell you, that's probably another thing that you're going to find interesting. That, I mean, I know that in the UK, you go from, you know, up north, down south, east and west, and you have very different accents. But the governing bodies are pretty much the same. Yeah. Here with different states, you could have very, very different laws. Perfectly okay to walk around the streets of Texas carrying a gun on your belt. If you're caught outside of your house with a gun in Chicago, you're immediately arrested.
And oh damn. See, that's what I mean. It's and I've heard about other certain laws as well, like, you know, where it's like you can be in one state and one thing's fine, and then you travel over, and then next thing you know, you've got like 5 years in jail for something that had no.
And I am encouraged by the fact that our legal system works very differently than it does over on your side. It really does, because there is a sense of, hey, wait a minute. There's this concept called reciprocity. When the laws in two different states are different, there's got to be a fair balance there. For example, when one state decided to legalize homosexual marriage, and the federal government or the Supreme Court said, yep, that's absolutely permissible. Well, that automatically makes it legal in every other state, because can you imagine you get married in California and then you move to Illinois, you're not married anymore?
Yeah, that
doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's reciprocity. Well, by the same token, if I'm driving from Texas to Florida and I'm going through a state that doesn't allow you to own a weapon, but I'm moving house, I have to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the only other way you would be able to do it is you'd have to take a mad bypass through states where it would be okay. And that would just be
it currently is a kind of situation where you either have to do that or at least know the laws in every state you're going through so that you know that you're complying with them. If Nanette and I go to the gun range, we have to secure our weapons in a particular kind of box, carry case, the ammunition in a completely separate place, and they have to be in the trunk. They can't be in the cabin of the car. The boot. It's got to be in the boot, right?
So if someone pulled your car, you can't really defend yourself there and then on the spot.
As it stands right now in the state of Illinois, no. Okay. I think that's going to be changing because of some of the cases that are going up to the Supreme Court this year.
Well, carjacking is like.
Yes, because that is a huge one right now.
I know that.
To be honest with you, there's also a lot of rules about what can be searched and under what conditions, even in the car. So in theory, I probably could, and if I was pulled over as a gun owner, there is very specific wording that you say to a police officer. Officer, I've just given you my driver's license. You'll notice right behind it is my FOID card, my federal firearms ownership identity card. I am carrying a weapon. My hands are on 12 o'clock right here. I'm not moving unless you tell me to.
Yeah.
Be
very clear about it all.
And honestly, most police officers, 99.9% of police officers, you treat them the way you're supposed to. You know the law, you know your rights, and you are polite and upfront. They respect it, because they know you're not the criminal. The criminal's the one who doesn't tell them, I got a gun, They probably don't even have a FOID card.
You act shady,
Right.
Yeah. And if it's night, I'll turn the inside light on the car too if I get pulled over. Put your hands on the steering wheel after you roll the window down. Yeah.
That's something I wouldn't have thought of, but you're right. That's not a bad idea.
So, Matt, do you have any questions about American restaurants?
Well, actually, I do. Because
really?
Julie has told me some stuff about she's a chef herself, in her day job, she does chef work. But she said apparently there's too much salt when you eat out. Apparently salt gets used a bit too much, compared to.
They are pretty liberal with the salt, yes.
Like what we have in the UK, it's they're scared to put salt in things in the UK now. It seems like it's
well,
I always add salt to stuff I do.
So here's
a salt shaker on my desk.
There's a completely different philosophy about food between the UK and the US. Okay, so in the UK you have a lot of boiled foods. You've got a lot of I don't feel this is the proper description, but a lot of Americans would say it's very bland.
Yeah.
Okay. But that has to do with a certain cooking philosophy. The idea is I prepare the food for you. you spice it yourself to your own taste.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to be very much of that mind. There are some times where you, in order to infuse a certain flavor, you must spice the meat or the sauce early in the cooking.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can avoid it, leave it out and put the salt and pepper on the table. And Nanette cannot have any black pepper.
Mm-hmm.
She's got an allergy.
Okay, yeah.
So I never prepare anything with pepper. Every recipe I look at calls for pepper. Every restaurant we go to puts pepper on just about everything. It's like, and even people that aren't allergic, it's like, that's a bit too much pepper,
Yeah.
But salt, you're right, is the same way.
They did a big push for like allergens and things like that in the UK. Like for like now when you go to, before the situation when you used to go out to eat, they like you'd get greeted by like who the server and like be given like your menu and then like basically a questionnaire. It's just like about allergies, like it's like this that go through this, and it's just like you have to be really careful these days, with like.
Well, you do, but again, this is the idea that if you are vulnerable, you're the one that's responsible, right?
Yeah.
And if you eat out, and there are some allergies that are very common. So most restaurants you go into, if you say, I have
peanut
allergy, or I have what is the one where you have a gluten allergy? It's
celiac.
I have celiac, whatever.
Yeah.
Most restaurants know how to deal with that, and they say, these are the things you can have, or thank you for telling me if you order this, this, and this, we have to know that in advance in order to prepare it for you, so forth. A lot of restaurants are getting much, much better about that.
Yeah.
There was a push. Boomer, do you remember? It was maybe a decade or so ago, maybe more. I'm old.
Trans fats?
Well, trans fats was a big one, but just the idea of restaurants giving nutritional information.
Yes, yeah, that was a big push.
And there was some pushback from restaurants. This is too much of a burden that the government's putting on us, and blah blah blah, and this and that, and really what it was is they were afraid that if McDonald's had to say how many calories were in their Big Mac, people would stop eating there.
Yeah.
And everybody knew full well, no. You don't go to McDonald's because you think you're getting something healthy. You're just not. And honestly, it affected them not at all. But it was a huge boon for people that had allergies. And yes, for people that were actually on some kind of a diet. I don't think anyone who's on a diet ever stopped eating at McDonald's. But they would look and they'd go, wow, I guess I'm not getting the quarter pounder with cheese. I'll have a regular cheeseburger, please.
Yeah. Like give it the educated decision. I mean, we have that, and like I say, I was just trying to see if I had an example or something. I don't actually. But the amount of stuff that's labelled on UK stuff, it's like everything has to be precisely done, like how many calories, this, that, and the other. Like everything is there.
My only problem with reading the labeling on stuff from the UK. It's all in metric. I have no idea how much this is and how much it weighs and how much is. I'm kidding, of course. I do find it ironic, though, right? Because most of the rest of the world uses metric, and what system do we use in America? The English system.
Yeah, the imperial system. That's
the imperial system, right?
But that's the thing about England, though. England's just confused because we use the metric system, but we still use the imperial as well, like for certain things.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, like so. We drink like if you go to the pub, you have a pint. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. Like, but it's like you don't go to the pub and say, I'll order myself a couple of glasses of 500 and some odd milliliter of like ale. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right, exactly.
But and like a lot of, in construction as well. My stepfather is a carpenter, and like he like I remember back when I used to help him out when I was younger. Like he always measured things like in inches and things like that as well, because can get more. I think it's easier with construction to do things with inches rather than going down to the metrics sort of thing.
Certainly
you get,
is
like,
for me. Yeah.
An odd sort of shape, like, you know what I mean, like, because it's so precise.
Yeah.
So, but because I still use inches and stuff myself as well for certain things, like, you know, and like miles and stuff like that, like, because not everybody goes on kilometers. You know, it's it's.
You're probably in a good position in that regard then, because you're going to come here and there's almost nothing in metric. It's almost all.
It's the
imperial.
one that I'm gonna have to get used to is the weight, because weights that's more the metric thing that I use, like, because I'm so used to using, well, especially working as in kitchens and things like that.
Stone.
And but yeah, it's like I say, that I'll have to get used to doing the conversion on that, and height, and like heights as well. Like certain, when it gets to certain heights, I'm gonna get confused, I think.
Okay, that's fair.
What was the other one as well? I was like, oh, I'm going to struggle with that.
Well, one thing that you're not going to see here is weights measured in stone.
Yeah, that was one like that. I really confused Julie with that one. Like, she's like, how because like she's on like a health thing and stuff. Obviously, asked me how heavy I am, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm such and such stone. Like, and she's like, what? Like, how does that work? Like, is that like, you know, stones? Like, you weigh in a stone? Like, what's a stone weigh? Like, I was. It was just like it got just really like we kind of went off the rails to the Browns of craziness with it, like, but it's one of those things, like, I don't even know myself where that came from, like, stone.
The only way that I have in my mind for metric, a source of reference is how much does a human being weigh, right? What is, if you told me he weighs 167 pounds, he weighs 200 pounds, okay, I've got a good idea of that. What does that work out in kilograms? And my only frame of reference is from Blake 7. Villa weighs 73 kilos.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I know how much that is.
Yeah. So, I'm always having to like have the conversion thing up on Google whenever I'm talking to Julie about stuff. It's like I've got it there ready, so I can just switch between the different conversions quite easily. It's like I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I've got to say to you, because otherwise, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. Like, it's all. It makes conversing easier. Like,
I actually just realized that I made a Blake 7 reference that Aged Boomer's not going to get for another,
whatever,
half a season or so. Oh, the episode is called Orbit. It is one of the 2 best Blake 7 episodes.
Okay, I'll look forward to it.
Yes, you will, and you will have a very different opinion of Avon by the time that episode is over.
Okay. Are you watching any current shows over in England that you like, Matt, or
TV stuff? Not really.
There's nothing good on BBC anymore.
I mean, UK TV is not superb. There's nothing really that's been on that's been grabs me or anything like that. I'm not really big on TV these days. I'm more
right.
It's films and and finding the time to get into series standard as well. I always end up losing them. I mean, the last TV series that I really got into was Arrow and The Flash back in the early seasons and stuff like that. And then
when they were still good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then and then it kind of like I kind of missed a couple of it, and then I kind of just went off. Really, gotcha. I mean, I was so into Arrow at one point. I was on Sky TV on one of the Fancast shows like that they were doing, like, because it was like I loved it. Wow. You can see my replica of the Arrow bow, like up there, like it's replica of his. Because I used to cosplay as him. I got a full costume of the Arrow, like season 2 version, because that was the best season was season 2, because like you had Manu Bennett as Deathstroke.
Oh yeah,
and he was awesome, like, as well. I mean, I've met him a couple of times, and because I was doing a TV show that failed, and I was presenting, and we were going to Comic Cons and interviewing like all the people who were there and stuff. And Manu was one I tried to get, and then he freaked out because someone said to him it was a documentary, and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "No, it was actually an entertainment thing." But then the second time he was at a convention, we got him. He remembered us, and I got to do an interview with him. And yeah, he still does. That was one of the things he did, was like he just cover up the one eye, like just doing that because obviously the Deathstroke thing, like, and yeah, he's a really interesting guy. Manu Bennett is really.
Are you much of a comic book fan?
Am I much of a comic book fan?
Yeah,
I am a bit. Yes.
So like, do you? these characters you were just talking about, did you read the old comics where Deathstroke came
Some
from?
of them, like I say, Green Arrow. I'm because I like Robin Hood as well.
Sure.
Like
Right.
I've always liked the legend of Robin Hood ever since I was a little kid. And obviously being English, it's British legends, like you
Right.
know.
Sure.
Been to Sherwood Forest and stuff like that. You know, it's awesome. But yeah, so that's where my kind of love for Green Arrow came from there. But I didn't really see him as anything much. I was more Batman, Superman, you know, that sort of thing. Like, but I knew him because of the Robin Hood thing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until the TV show when I kind of was like, okay, I'm going to look deeper into the Green Arrow character, like you know, because I knew him through the Justice League comic books and stuff like that. But again, I didn't really follow his backstory, and then I found out like about the whole Canary stuff, and like there was like the whole like drug stories and all that stuff like that. Mm-hmm. He's a very deep character, man.
Oh
like,
yeah,
really, really cool.
There was also a long period where Green Arrow and Green Lantern were teamed up in
the 60s.
Was it Brave and the Bold?
No, it was called Green Lantern, Green Arrow. That was
is that what it was? Yeah, okay.
The comic series, yeah.
And what was very interesting, they had some great, very political stories.
Yeah.
Because you had Green Arrow, who was your very, very, Democrat, progressive
lefty character, yeah.
Very lefty, yeah. And you had
Hal Jordan's Green Lantern.
Green Arrow, Hal Jordan, who was, he's playing an interstellar cop, so he's very right-wing,
very traditional.
Almost authoritarian. These were two characters that were very, very good friends, but they butted heads about, how they saw things. There was a lot of that actually in the 80s with Batman and Superman, too. Not quite the same thing, not in the political sense, but in the whole, if you're Superman, you have a very different way of looking at things than Batman, and they would have these conversations. It's like, Clark, you don't have to worry about dying from a bullet. I do. You can say, you can scold the bad guy and then take them off to jail. I have to stop them,
Yeah, it's almost reminded me, though, Troy, did you ever see the first episode of Justice League Unlimited where they introduced the Green Arrow into the DC animated universe?
No,
because
I did not.
They had him meet. They unfortunately, that series, not unfortunately, but they had the John Stewart Green Lantern, so they didn't have Hal Jordan on it. So instead, they had him get into a kind of a tussle with Captain Atom, and like he's on the plane and he's saying, "What are you?" And he says, I'm pure nuclear energy," and he's like. And then he says, "I think you're what I protested against back in college."
That's exactly that character. You're absolutely right. And what's crazy about the character is he's very, very wealthy. So he's your rich, wealthy, progressive. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and that's back then they had some really good stories, and nobody complained about the politics because it was well-written stories. Yeah. Just like we used to say about Star Trek all the time. It would get political, but you'd see both sides of it. And you'd come away going, I'm not sure how I feel about this. And then you'd spend years thinking about it, You weren't told what you had to believe.
I think that's where things are going wrong now. It's like they want to give you the answers, and it's like they don't want you to ask the questions. They want to tell you how to think, and it's like, I hate that, man. Here's
a problem that doesn't exist in your world, and this is how you have to feel about it.
Exactly. They create the problems, it's.
Well, I've told this story on other streams. Nanette and I used to do all the Victorian history reenacting and steampunk and all that kind of stuff. And there was one girl that we used to do this with who used to head up the whole, suffragette thing, and votes for women and all that kind of stuff. And in the real world, she's a very progressive, fourth wave feminist kind of person. And it's like she doesn't understand. You already have the right to vote. All of these things that Gloria Steinem fought for, you got. You already have equal pay. Legally speaking, if you don't believe you do, then what law do you want passed? Because it already exists.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, they all want to fight the same fight all over again. Yeah. And that's where a lot of these organizations they feed on that victim mentality. You're a victim. You deserve this. You deserve that. Whereas most people were taught the world owes you nothing.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes life is unfair. We as a society try to make it as fair as possible, but just remember, it's always going to be unfair for someone.
Yep, this is it. You'll never please everybody. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. It'll just be a constant. It's almost like what's it? A snake eating its own tail.
Well, that's true, and I've always said that too. You can't please all the people all the time, but women don't complain. You can please men all of the time because they only ever want one thing.
So I have a question. You went to steampunk conventions? Is this correct?
Yes. I used to work security for one of the biggest ones in the Midwest.
Nice.
Cool.
And I used to play a fictionalized version of the personal physician to Queen Victoria.
Cool.
Yep. So what was really interesting about it is that our security team was kind of slowly becoming a Victorian version of the Avengers. The Duke of Buckingham had this whole. I had helped him put together this whole story where we had served in Afghanistan together, and he, had some kind of damage to his heart, and I had to help, I helped him survive, and he started wearing a suit of armor, and yeah, he became the Iron Duke, and so it was a whole thing. But
Nice.
but then that convention, I don't even know if it's still going on anymore. The past couple of years, nothing. So we've gotten away from all of that stuff.
I hope that all these little things come back.
No, that's right. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's got to be like 2 a.m. there, right?
A bit later than that, I'll be honest. It's
the sun coming up
in the morning.
Oh,
all right.
brilliant.
We should.
Yeah, it's time to get wrapping it up. But boy, man, I super appreciate you coming out,
Thank you for
hanging
having me
out
back,
with us.
Yeah,
And do really look forward to whenever you can get out here. I do definitely want to see you in
Keep
person.
your fingers crossed, everybody, for this travel ban to be lifted.
We need you in America. Okay.
So you've got a show tomorrow
People
morning.
love the English accent over here. Okay, they do.
I need my Kendallman cake.
Yes, she needs her Kendallman cake. Yeah, if you can't get around to mailing it, maybe just bring it with you when you come home.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just going to stuff it all in my pockets.
Exactly. Are you, so you have a show, well, I guess it's Saturday afternoon for you, Saturday morning for us.
It's the morning show for America. It's tomorrow. I'm doing it half an hour later. I've got decided because last week I was late the week before, and so I was like, you know what, I'm going to make it half an hour later just to give the Western chance to get on as well. So it's going to be 9:30 Eastern Central Time, sort of thing, around that time.
Yeah,
and yeah, so.
I may not be there because I've promised Netter a honeydew weekend. Nice. Honeydew this, honeydew that, because we have a 3-day weekend for Labor Day.
Yeah, holiday weekend.
And we got a project going in the house, so I
Happy
may
Labor
not
Day
be
for everybody in America.
Right. So I may not be able to catch your show live, but I will definitely
That's cool.
Give you the thumbnail, give you the thumbs up, and stop by and leave a comment.
Thank you, brother.
But again, later in the evening, evening for us anyway, Saturday night, 9:00 Central on Netter's Network, we'll be doing a rewatch of Anna and the Apocalypse. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see. Sunday morning, Netter and I will be on Matthew Flynn's channel, your countryman, Matthew Flynn. We will be talking about Ben 10 Ultimate. No, Ben 10 Omniverse. We're starting the new series. And Sunday night, what do we got going on, Boomer?
You got Geeky Geezers.
Geeky Geezers.
I'm going to rant more about Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of interesting news. I got to get those notes together.
There's actually a lot of stuff we're going to be covering besides that. The most interesting one was the statement by the Wonder Woman director.
I didn't even read that article. I can only imagine what she's saying about.
All right. She was throwing shade at streaming movies, but I think I might agree with her. But we'll talk about it.
Well, I might agree with her too, but I still feel like, streaming has its place after it's been released in theaters.
Yeah, I know. We'll talk about it more on Sunday.
Yep. And then, let's see. Tuesday night, I'm going to be on with Birdman. We're doing a rewatch of, I believe it's Clear and Present Danger, because we just needed some American, cinema.
That's an awesome film.
Yes, it is.
I've seen that in years.
Yeah, we watched Air Force One last Tuesday, and we'll watch Clear and.
Isn't Sean Bean in Clear and Present Danger?
Yeah, and he probably gets killed too.
Is he in that, or is he in Patriot Games?
I don't know.
Patriot Games.
Yeah, Patriot. Yeah, Clear and Present Danger was the sequel to Patriot Games. Yes.
Okay. And Wednesday night, are you on with Birdman?
I will be. What the heck are we doing Wednesday?
Well, if you people are subscribed to,
we're probably doing Star Trek 3. That's right, Star Trek.
Okay,
3.
so just subscribe to Birdman and hit that notification bell, so you know what they're doing. Do we have anything else going on?
Nah.
Oh, Friday. Next Friday, Boomer, I've already planned out the show. I'm bringing back Stephanie Janicek. We are going to be talking about Star Wars in bringing the EU back, and how we've clearly seen it happening, how we would like to see it continue, and what our expectations are for the future. And of course, Stephanie Janicek has a great deal of insight in that regard.
Sounds good.
So that's next Friday.
Nice.
All right, sounds good.
I think I covered it all, right?
You did. You got it all.
All right.
And Wolf 10 has stuff during the week, too. Check out his afternoon streams, people. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Orville Nation. Oh, before we go, let me just say hi, Orville Nation. And if you're not subscribing to Orville Nation, you absolutely should, especially with the Orville coming back. He's going to be having a lot of content in that regard, too. Thanks so much for stopping by. I super, super appreciate it. And, I am working on an outro video, like my intro, but I just haven't done that yet. I will get that eventually. I'm getting more and more snazzy as we go. But
snazzy is good.
Until the next show, until the next time I see you all, thank you so much for coming out, supporting us all, doing all the likes and the shares and the comments and all the YouTube things. It encourages us more than you can possibly know. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Good night.